alive.
We did it.
What's up, Timmy?
Episode number 3.
Yes, we're here. The beginning. Thanks for having me on, man.
Cheers.
I appreciate it.
We don't have anyone else.
When you asked me to be on as a guest, I was super excited, man.
Oh, dude.
Even just when you said you were starting a podcast, you didn't even tell me. I just saw it like pop up on my feed.
It started pretty ill thought.
Like spontaneous.
It's very spontaneous. And I said, you know what? I was like, I got to fill up some time because, GB's playing less shows. And I was like, I want to do something. And I was like, I like talking to people. So I'm like, dude, why don't I have the people that some of my best friends and family on, because I know they have the best stories.
Right.
Like, I know what I did with them.
Right.
And that's some great stuff. Like, would I listen to it? Dude, I talked to a customer of mine before I started the podcast. A customer.
Yeah.
I was treating their house, and she said she would be on too. And her and her friends own a tattoo shop.
Sick.
And so we talked tattoos. That's how we got, we became buddies. And we talked about just storytelling.
Right.
And I said, I feel like storytelling nowadays is gone. Like, you don't hear stories from kids our age, which she's probably a little older than us. But I said, I feel like stories was from our grandparents.
Right.
I used to hear those stories even less from our parents than even less now.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I want a podcast where you tell stories to keep and that was the first post I ever did.
Right.
It's
a time capsule.
It's a time capsule. And I said, you know what? And the hashtag was keeps storytelling alive, because it's going to be gone and no one's going to talk to each other. And then one of these days where no one talks in person, you can look back on something like this.
Wow.
And be like, dang, that's pretty cool. That's what it is.
It is. It really is.
Keep storytelling alive.
I mean, wouldn't you want, I wish I would do anything to see my grandpa in real time, telling stories, you know what I mean? But they're gone. That generation never had any type of thing like that.
And those stories are gone.
It's just through your parents, you know?
Yeah.
So your parents tell you stuff and you're like, oh,
But how many
I don't want to forget this.
You don't. But how many stories do you think are gone now?
Oh, gone forever.
It's sad. It bummed me out when I thought about that. And as I was telling this girl,
I
want to do this because of this. The more I thought about the stories that are going to be gone in the next few years, when grandparents pass or whatever it is, I'm like, this stuff's gone forever.
Well, how cool now? It's you what we're doing right now is going to be on the internet forever. It's going to be somewhere always. Possibly if we don't get canceled in this episode. Just kidding. But think about it. Think about the people that we read about in history, right? It's stories, right? So we know stories of all these great people, the Roman Empire, all this. How cool is it now? We have an opportunity to tell our own story.
Yeah.
How we want to. You know what I mean?
So that's crazy.
In real time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is who I am.
2022.
Yeah.
This is what we were doing.
Raw. We're going in raw.
Goodness.
Episode 3, baby.
Episode 3. We got the main chiller himself right here.
Yeah, guys.
Mr. Against the Grain himself. My cousin Josh.
Yeah.
Episode number 3.
How you guys doing?
We're gonna get some storytelling about our lives growing up and stupid stuff we did.
Oh, yeah.
And what made us who we are today.
For sure, man.
And decisions we made that brought us to where we are mentally and physically, who we are today. And we're going to have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely got a lot of life experience together. Whether it be near-death experiences.
Fights.
Fights.
Cops.
Just being kids. Fireworks. Having Roman candle wars in your backyard. All those times that I think about were all here at this, not in this studio, but here in this property.
Yeah.
That's what I was just telling you, when I was here at your place, and I was, just using the restroom, so many flashbacks of, when we were kids staying over. I remember one time, I was super little, and, you know how we'd always beg to stay at each other's houses?
Yeah.
And, half the time they would say yes.
Hey, Mom, is there any way?
And so I remember one time, I don't know, you might remember this, you might not, but our parents were like, no, you can't. Your mom was like, yeah, it's cool. But my mom was like, just for whatever reason. And so me and you were like, dude, let me sneak in your car. I was like, I'll just sneak in the back seat. And then by the time you get home.
No.
Yeah, and then I'll have to stay over. They're just going to.
No one's going to take you home at midnight.
And your mom and dad didn't even know. Remember?
Did we do that?
Yes. And halfway's home, I made a noise or something. And your mom was like, Josh, what are you doing? And
we did that. Did it work? That.
No, I think your mom felt so bad and drove me back. But
I could see that.
I felt bad if your mom would have had to take me all the way home. And so I just hey, auntie, like in the backseat.
Surprise.
Yeah, and she was like, Josh, what the heck? Your parents weren't mad at all, whatever, but my mom was like livid.
You just
ran I just went missing, dude.
Ran away from home.
Yeah, basically, just to stay at your house and play Crash Bandicoot.
It's probably the best place you could have ran away to.
Yeah, true.
At the time.
Well, your parents and my parents had like fun property to like grow up on and be a kid.
Yeah, big properties.
Ditch banks.
And that's like something that I forget who I was talking to. I was telling them about that. I'm like, dude, that's why I want to move in a place like this.
Yeah.
Because I want to bring up Oliver.
Yeah.
In a place that we
just let him roam freely and not have to stress about it.
Because you didn't get in trouble. We didn't get in any major trouble. I mean, we on dirt bikes, we might have ran into the cops every now and then, but we never got into trouble because we had so much space that we could kind of do whatever we wanted.
We never were bored. Just to say that. There was always some land to discover.
Yeah.
You know, like I remember there's a ditch bank and you're like, how can we get to the other side and shoot more birds? Like we were like always shooting birds with our BB guns. Hunting, yeah. And like we would just make up stories like on the other side of this ditch bank is birdland. Like how are we gonna get there? It's like me, you, Tyler Kane. Yeah, it was like Narnia. It was like gold. You could just see birds flying.
Undiscovered.
And you're like, we're going to do it. And all we had to do was just drive around. But like to us, we're like, no, let's make a bridge. Let's get rocks. We'll walk across. Like we just made it like fun, dude.
Dude, one time, I don't even know this story. One time, Tom and Nate spent the night. Nate came.
Yeah.
And I was, we were the younger brothers for that generation. They're a little older than us. So one morning we woke up and like, dude, we're going to build a raft. Tom and Nate said, we're going to build a raft. We're going to float down the ditch in the back.
Sick.
And I was like, dude, heck yeah. I got to be a part of this. You know what I mean? So we did it. We built a raft. Dude, Dad
with Nate Kane, that thing probably had living quarters. And
oh, dude, they built it now. We could float that thing all the way to Socorro.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Nate Kane.
Oh, dude.
Spartan
Designs, dude.
Spartan Design. You built our Bronco.
Dude, right? So we built this thing, right? And it was one of Dad's old pallets, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's heavy. It's wood. Okay? So like, all right.
Who's the guinea pig?
Who's getting on it, dude? And it was like, looked at me.
All eyes on you.
I was the lightest. I was the smallest. I was the lightest.
Were you down, or did they kind of force you to do
it? I was like, let's go. Like, you guys are going to get on, too,
You're like,
right?
Does this mean I'm going to get to hang out with you guys?
Yeah.
Like, we just wanted
that's
to
how it was.
With
that's
the boys.
Exactly how it was. And so I'm like, well, are you guys going to hop on, too, with me, right? They're like, yeah, just get on. We're going to throw it in. You jump on, and if it floats, then we'll get on with you, and we'll ride it all the way down. So I'm like, dude.
Easy.
I didn't even think about, like, the gates blocking for,
Or you going under a tunnel and you being stuck in there.
Yeah, something. You didn't think about that stuff. We were young.
Yeah.
So, dude, they threw it in, and I hopped on it, dude.
Did it sink? Or did it float?
So
or what
first,
happened?
it was stayed on top of the water. And I was like, I looked at them. I was like, dude, we're good. Let's go. Huck Finn.
Were they, like, following you? Like,
yeah,
and you were just, like,
they were going down. They were walking the ditch bank with me. And it wasn't running fast. It was pretty slow, mellow. And, dude, I'm on it, and I'm like, dude, we're good. Let's go. Let's go as far as this thing will take us. Well,
let's go to Mexico, baby.
Dude, I'm going to water this thing, dude. So it started to sink.
Oh, man.
And then I was like, well, how am I getting out of here? Like,
it started the ditch banks, dude?
Yeah. They'll take
that water will suck you in, dude.
They'll take you under. So it started to sink, and I looked at them like, you guys are seeing this, right? And, dude, so it got to where the gate is, where people...
Yeah. Where they open and close for irrigation.
Yes, where they open and close for irrigation.
It's like a big old metal. Looks like.
So I got close to that, and then luckily the gate was open, but that was where I came off of it.
Did you grab onto something and like jump off or what?
It sucked me under, and I went under the gate, and I was off the raft because the raft probably got stuck. It was so big, and I'm floating down, and I don't think I could swim then.
No.
So then, like, I don't know. It was probably Nate that saved me. He probably jumped in and grabbed something and pulled me out. And they were like, what the heck?
But still.
And then I was like, dude, it was like the stuff we did. And it's funny, like, you look back now being a little older. You look
slightly
back and you're
more
like,
mature.
Yeah, slightly. You look back and you're like, dude, some of the stuff we did was very irresponsible.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And stupid. But when you're young, you don't think about, like, really getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think about that, having Oliver. I'm like, dude, that was nuts. And then I see him do stuff. I'm like, son.
Yeah.
Go a little slower.
Right.
Like, do the same stuff, but go a little bit slower just so you know you're okay. And then I'll watch you do it.
For sure. That's just being a good dad, though.
But
one thing that we had in common is we were both risk takers.
Did whatever.
Like, we would always find a way to entertain ourselves, but, like, we would take risks because it was, like, we were addicted to, like, adrenaline rush. Like, you and I were both into skateboarding, and we would just bomb, like, a mountain, dude. Like, let's just hang on as fast as we could go. Or, like, we would be on the mesa, dude. Remember when we got chased by those dogs? Yeah. We had to jump the fence, and you got stuck, or I got stuck on the fence with your shirt. Remember you were hanging?
Dude.
Like, you jumped the fence, and it caught you, and you were like, Josh! And the dogs were chasing us.
Dogs went down the road.
Dude. Because we saw them, like, from a distance, remember? And we were both playing with fireworks.
That was that fort. We took our portable DVD player.
It was like yeah. Dude, yeah.
We took everything up there. We had a little setup, and then we saw the dogs.
We saw these two, like, wandering dogs, and we, like, bet each other, like, watch, I bet you they won't come. Or we said something. Yeah. They were barked or I barked, huh?
You barked.
I barked.
You barked.
I just didn't. I just was curious, and I went, rawr, rawr. And these dogs are like two black dots, like, and then all of a sudden you just see them dust.
Bigger and closer. Bigger.
And we're in our fort, like,
they're gonna
dude,
get us.
We gotta go. Like, when you see like a dog in full sprint, there's nothing scarier.
Yeah.
And then there's
they're coming straight for you.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do. No guns, no nothing. And we just book it, dude. Like, right towards the military base right here. And I jumped the fence. We climbed up it, dude. And, like, someone on their way back down, like, got stuck.
Dude.
You made it over, but you were stuck, like, halfways.
That's scary.
And your, like, shirt was, like, there. And you were just like, and the dog's barking.
Dude, and I don't even remember this part of it. After that, we ran straight home. We left all of our stuff up there.
I don't remember.
We probably had, like, a little go bag.
Yeah.
With snacks and whatever.
Yeah,
and then our DVD player. And so we bailed on it, and we came home. So then it started getting later. We went back for it, and it was gone.
I don't remember that. This was when you lost your orange camera. Didn't you have an orange camera?
Might have been.
We used to do a lot.
Yeah.
I tell this story on my podcast. Like, you and I were like you were the first person out of all of us to have a video camera.
Little go camera?
That you could actually record and, like, play back and watch. And so, like, that was, like, gold to us as kids.
When Jackass
was
big.
Yeah, we're like, dude, we could do, like, anything, dude.
Yeah.
Let's do, what do you want to do? We would, like, put on, like, even, like, puppet shows, like, camping.
That probably stuff.
Skateboarding.
Yeah, no, we did a lot.
Like, there was probably so much footage on that camera, man.
But these guys, they came and took it. And we're like, dude, we came back and told Dad, dude, all of our stuff's gone. We had all this stuff. And he's like, well, let's go ask the neighbors. And so I remember going with Dad. I don't know if you were here, if you were still with us.
I probably already went home.
Probably went home. But we ended up finding the backpack, the DVD player, all of our stuff. And I don't remember if that was when we lost the camera or not, but...
They found it at the neighbors?
Dude, Dad went and knocked on his neighbor's door, and he goes, hey, my boys have this stuff up here on the hill. It's gone. Do you know anything about it? And they're like, oh, yeah, we found it. We didn't know whose it was.
Wow.
And they gave us back the DVD player, the backpack, and everything.
Shout out to Uncle David.
Dude, went for it. But, yeah, dude, that stuff was nuts. You know what I mean? We did so much.
That's probably why they didn't let me stay over all the time, because stuff like that always happened.
Well, dude, every time you went skateboarding, you got hurt.
Yeah. I don't know if... I'm sure the people that are watching this that know me know I'm, like, very accident prone.
But oddly not.
Like, I'm just always doing stunts. Like, I think it's just, like, embedded, like, in our DNA. Like, just to do backflips off things, and you had a dirt bike, like, four-wheelers, like, just thrill-seeking, you know?
Do you remember?
But now that I'm getting older, I'm paying the price. I'm half a man right now.
Dude, that's funny. It's like, you know, it'd be in the middle of the night. It's just, like, kind of weird older thing. And I'm like, dang. I'll just rub my knees. And I'm like, dude, and then they'll pop weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, my knees. I'm like, that was the dirt bike. The first that messed up my knees.
All the memories, the flashbacks of...
Yeah, dude, just casing jumps and just taking all my knees and my ankles. But do you remember that one time? It was me and Mylan. We probably went to fill up at Al's Mini Mart on the corner right there.
Yeah.
And
shout out Mylan Chavez, another brother.
He's doing the editing for these videos.
We were the trifecta for most of high school.
We still are, dude. That's still it.
Yeah.
But we got pulled over. And
us three?
Yeah. So you were on the back, and my bike was a little faster than when Mylan was on. Which
yeah.
was his uncle's. And you were on the back with me. And do you remember this?
No, I don't. Because I've been pulled over so much or chased by so many cops on the four-wheeler.
So, yeah, and that's how it was. So I won't say a handful of times. There may or may not have been
We don't want to incriminate ourselves, right?
There may or may not have been
this is all allegedly.
Allegedly, me and Mylan might have ran from the cops.
Yeah.
When it was just us two on the bikes.
Right.
We never got in any trouble. That may or may not have been because we didn't stop. Okay?
Right. You didn't see them. But if you would have stopped.
Oh, 100%. You know, because we were probably doing the speed limit. It was a street legal dirt bike, and we were in town. So if we would have saw the lights and sirens, we would have pulled over, and we wouldn't have hit the ditch bank so fast. Okay. And so this particular time, you're on the back with me. We just fill up at Al's. Me, you, and Mylan. He's on his bike, his uncle's bike, and we're on mine. And
I was on the back of yours.
You were on the back of mine.
Dang.
So we stop. Because that's what responsible kids do. When you see cops behind you, you stop with lights and sirens, so you pull over. So we look back, you might see the cops.
Okay, I do remember this now.
So we pull over. And me and mine are like, dude, let's just go. Let's just do the normal thing. We know how to get out of here.
But you didn't even have to say anything.
We just looked at each other, and you're hanging.
Hey, have you guys ever seen Fast and the Furious? You know when Dom looks at what's the other homie's name?
I'll smoke him.
Yeah. Smoke them.
Yeah. That's what it was. Okay? But I've never seen you, to this day, I've never seen you afraid. I've never heard you say, don't do it. Okay? So we pull over, and like we're probably on the, near the sidewalk or whatever, in like downtown Belen or wherever. And we pull over and look at my like, dude, let's just normal getaway.
The cop is probably Kiki.
And the cop, yeah.
He's cool with our parents.
Like, we're good, dude. And so we pull over, and we look at each other, and we're like, let's just get out of here, right?
Yeah.
We're just going to do that.
Yeah.
Normal stuff.
I'm hungry.
And then he was like, yeah, let's just get out of here. So we already pulled over. He's probably out of the car already, dude. And you're like, he told us, do not do it. Don't do it. And then I was like, what? Like, coming from you, I was like, I've never heard you say anything like that.
I don't know, dude. I must have been playing a lot of Grand Theft Auto. I was like, I don't want 5 stars.
Dude. And so you're like, don't. You kept telling us, don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it. I was like, dude, they're good. Hang on tight. That's what I kept telling you. Just hang on tight. You're not going to fall off. We're not going to wreck.
I remember you telling me
this. We know what we're doing. Just hang on tight. Yeah. I got it. We're good.
I think I was more afraid that I had no control.
That's 100%. That's
like,
what it was.
I was just fully trusting you to just help us escape. Are you going to ramp and help? Like, you know what I mean? Like, my mind is like,
knows what I would have done?
What is Tim going to do?
I didn't even know then.
Like, is Tim going to wreck it? Like, I was more afraid of you just like hauling it and like driving. I don't know. You know how it is.
I could have ramped the car.
Yeah, when you don't have control, that's when probably my fear kicks in.
That's scary, yeah. But you're like, don't run. Let's just talk to them. I'm like, dude, they're going to tow our bikes if we sit here and talk to them. Like, we're in the middle of town.
Dude, you got $10 to your name.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have anything. And I was like, let's just go. So we're like, let's just go. And you're like, don't do it. Don't. I'm on the back. Drop me off. Leave me here. So he told me, leave me here. I was like, dude, I'm not leaving you here. Hang on tight. And I still pretended like I was going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it. She's like, fine. We're all going. We were young. We were kids.
Yeah.
We're all going to jail. I was so dramatic. We're all going to
jail.
Mad at me. Bikes are getting towed.
Like, it's my fault.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
And so the cop came up and he was like, you know what, dude? What are you guys doing? We're like, dude, we just came to put gas. We're going back to the ditch banks. And he's like, all right, you guys are good. I knew that's the same thing I heard every time.
Right.
You know, I can tow these bikes, right?
Right.
Yes, sir. We just came to put gas. We're going back to our, the ditch banks and where we know we can ride and everything. He's like, all right, get out of here. So we cruised off and I'm like, dude, we could have been gone, dude. Yeah. We didn't have to be stopped by this guy. And that's when you like, don't do it.
So see, you can't say I ever tried to have talk some sense.
No.
At least once. But all the other times I was probably doing the other
That's what I'm saying. But I felt confident on the bike. That was the thing.
That was your thing.
Now, if we got
you were really good at riding dirt bikes.
Now, if we got into a fist fight, then I'd be like, hey, Josh, we gotta get out of here, dude. And then you'd be like, nah, dude, we're staying. We're figuring this out.
Yeah.
We're holding a sword. But we did a lot of stuff.
We did, man. I just, now that you brought up Mylan, like, I just remember you two, because we were like we still are best friends. Like, even though I haven't seen Mylan in years, I still consider him like one of my all-time best friends. And I just remember, like, you guys, we were all the same age, but I was always like caught up in sports, wrestling, you know what I mean? But you guys had a band, remember? You and Mylan and Nick? Mm-hmm. Nick Martinez?
Yeah.
And you guys had a band, and Nick had a garage. And you guys would, like, be practicing. And you guys, like, it was, like, a kick-it spot. And I would, like, get off wrestling practice all sweaty, all, like, cutting weight. And I would just go hang out with you guys.
Yeah. A little
like, Erica Porter lived next door.
Yeah.
She would, like, hop the fence, come hang out with us.
It's like when we were dating or something?
I don't know about that, but shout out Erica Porter. You're super cool. Hi. Yeah. And, what are you doing? But it was just good times, man. It was just cool because we were so diverse. Like, our friend group was so diverse.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Nick Martinez was so different. Like, he was a skater in the Mustang.
He was such a good skater. He was so
insane
good.
A Guitar Hero.
the insane Guitar Hero.
This guy was like known in Belen for being like a Guitar Hero legend.
They were like, how do you
remember Dragon Force?
Oh yeah.
He was the one that could beat it. He'd be like, you know how you play Guitar Hero like this? He wouldn't even use that. He would like be all like fingers. This.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell? But he was actually like probably could have gone pro skateboarding.
Oh, dude, he's good.
Like Nick, I honestly, and because I haven't seen Nick in forever either, but I guarantee you if I took him skateboarding right now and he hasn't been on one, he could air out like on a half pipe.
Pick it up, yeah.
And talk about like even snowboarding with him. Oh. He's like us. I think like even though all of our friend group is so different, like me, you, Mylan, Nick, like we're way different people individually. But like what we have in common is we just go for it, dude. Dude. We just go for it. Like even doing this podcast. Like whenever I started Against the Grain, early 2019, it was similar to how you just said you started yours. Spontaneous. Like we didn't even plan on doing it, bro. I had a tripod in my living room and I'm like, let's just shoot a pilot. Shout out to Brandon Crevo, he's my co-host. We did what is it called? The float tank. We did a float tank. We just had the best day ever. You know, like things just line up. And I've always wanted to do a podcast just because that's all I do is listen to podcasts. I love hearing people tell stories. Like, let's just do it, bro. And that just sparked something. And now here we are, 2022, like still doing it.
3 years, dude?
Yeah, and it never gets tired. Every guest is different. It's just the funnest thing, bro. Dude. So the fact that you're doing it now, like, makes me happy because I know you're going to take off with it because it's so fun.
It's so fun. And that's what I'm saying. Like, whenever I talk to people, like, and I know a lot of people, like, in the you know, from playing music to whatever.
Right.
You know, but I was like, I know a lot of people. I was like, I want to know some stories, like, maybe I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, teach me something I didn't know. Or,
right.
you know what I mean? Tell me something I didn't know. And but you're different.
Yeah.
Because I did a lot of stuff with you.
Right. The hardest part's, like, not wanting to get ourselves in trouble with all our stories that we want to tell.
Dude. Yeah,
what was the story that you said you just thought of? You were like, I just thought of something. Finish your thought. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I can't finish that thought.
I didn't mean to interrupt, though. Finish what you were just saying.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Yeah. But, you know, it's something I said, a little comment that I had made just like 10 seconds ago. Made me laugh. I made myself laugh again.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's funny. I was telling Spanish Jimmy, he was on right before you. He was the last guest, episode number 2. Shout out Spanish Jimmy.
He was also on Against the Grain.
Yeah.
Check out my YouTube channel. Fun guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
Sick freestyle rapper too.
Yeah, he's a very talented dude, and we were talking about how he's the one who got me into music. You know, even though I did play music before, you know, we reconnected. But we were just talking about times, and he told me stories that I forgot about. He's like, "Do you remember that one time that I was supposed to play at Old Town, but I couldn't find the bathroom, so I was late, so you played drums for a few songs?" And I was like, what? And the more he was describing the day, I was like, oh, shoot. That was like this, you know, we were playing here at this spot, right?
Yeah.
And it was with this band. He's like, yeah, and I came out of the bathroom, and you were playing, like, he's like, it wasn't a sound check. You were playing drums.
Like, you were just straight up, like, just going for it.
Yeah, because they said.
And at the time, you were super young.
Yeah, I was very green to the music
No
scene.
mustache back then.
Probably not, no.
If it was, it looked like mine. Just kidding.
It's probably less. But I told him, I was like, dude, I totally forgot about that story.
Yeah. And
then we talked about those stories, like getting into music and stuff. And it's pretty wild. But I remember, like, the stuff we did when we were young was, like, skateboarding and the four-wheelers and dirt bike stuff. Right. And then a big part of your life was wrestling.
Right.
You like the man. Right?
Yeah, you guys, and shout out to you and your family. You guys always showed out to support me.
Dude,
even if, you know, I know how chaotic wrestling tournaments are all day in a gym. Dude. But, like, when it came down to it and it was like a duel or something,
dude,
you were there.
That's like the most. Dude, that was like our in our family and close group of friends stuff. That was like our UFC fights, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like, you go and it's and then for being such like a small town stuff,
right?
Or whether a state or something local,
for sure,
or like a Blood and Las Lunas tournament.
It was a big deal, man.
And they would just put the one light on.
Yeah, it was like it was a fight.
It was big, dude. It was a big deal. And for me, I'll say this story. You probably don't remember. It was the same day.
Same day as what? Duel?
No. So we had you and I, the Belen team.
Okay.
It's probably junior wrestling.
Yeah.
We had a tournament in Isleta. And we were in the second grade.
Wow.
Okay.
So like 8 years old.
My short-term memory, horrible. Okay. Horrible. Anna could tell me something. She'd be like, yeah, I told you yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you didn't.
Do you ever just open the fridge and you're like...
What am I doing? Yeah, 100%.
I've been doing that a lot lately.
My short-term memory, gone. Okay.
But long-term,
my long-term, I'm like, oh yeah, second grade. Miss Ulavari, they moved to...
Miss Ulavari.
Dude.
That is the most thing ever.
Gil Sanchez, she's my second grade
I thought
teacher.
you were going to say Guillermo. I was going to laugh.
They moved to Missouri.
Yeah.
She was my favorite teacher besides Mr. Van, which I hope to have Mr. Van on the podcast. But yeah, I remember everything about second grade. I remember this one lady, dude. She was like a parent helper.
Yeah.
Like one of the kids' parents who would come and help the class.
Yeah.
And I always forgot her name. I'd be like, Miss... I was in second
Just
grade.
Miss, yeah.
And she would go, Deborah. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, Deborah. I'm so sorry. I was in second grade. Didn't know any better. And she goes, you know how you can remember my name better? That's what she's telling me, dude. I'm in second grade.
What did she say?
She goes, do you know how you can remember my name better?
What?
And I go, no. She goes, think of bra. And I'm all...
Oh, Deborah.
I'm all like, in my head, I'm like a woman? Like,
yeah.
woman's bra? She's like, yeah. I'm like,
dude,
that's a very strange thing to tell a second grade
low-key
kid.
looking back, bro, she's probably trying to fish for you.
Dude. And I was like, not up in here, dude. But I was like, okay. Dude, honestly, I think I left the school after that. I'm like, Mom, I gotta go back to being homeschooled, dude. This stuff's wild, dude. This stuff's wild out here. Okay? But...
What happened with us?
Okay, so for us, it was the second grade. Because I remember I got pulled to the side. And my teachers and the principal asked me, is everything okay at home? And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Second grade kid,
For sure.
I was homeschooled before that. And I was like, yeah, everything's great. Why are you asking? We're asking about your black eye.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh. And I had a shiner, dude.
From us?
Swollen.
From us wrestling?
One eye shiner. Okay. We were warming up together at this tournament in Saleta.
Oh.
And you came high. Knee. And boom, right away, dude, swelled up. And I was like, oh, shoot. So that same day is probably my greatest junior wrestling moment, okay? So I got knee in the face by you. Shiner, dude. And I was like, dude, like, this looks tough. Like,
dude, shiners
whenever
are
you
dope,
feel,
dude.
yeah.
You show up to elementary school with a shiner.
And you're like, dude, this guy's tough, dude. Okay, so you gave me my first shiner, like a real shiner.
Gotcha,
Probably had once or two,
oh, yeah.
once or twice before, like a little guy underneath.
It's a confidence booster.
Oh, dude, but this one was like my eye, dude.
My knee just fit perfect in that socket.
Right in my socket, dude, and it just took my whole eye. It was purple all the way around. But that same day, dude, it gave me like motivation because I remember, and this is just how I am. And me and other friends have had conversations about it, and they say that being a musician, you feel things different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Even Mom said, like, musicians are very emotional people.
You're just more sensitive to everything around you.
And I remember, like, when I would get mad, if I lost a match, I would cry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't know how to, like, I wasn't, like, tough about it. I would cry, because I would just cry. And this one time, dude, after that shiner, everyone was making fun of me. Like, you were warming up and you got a black eye. Like, what the heck? You know what I mean?
But it was Josh.
I'm like, yeah, we were messing around. It's an accident. It wasn't. He didn't really get me, And it was an accident. And then, dude, I couldn't even tell you what weight I was wrestling.
Probably like 55s or something.
Yeah, but it was me. It came down because you weren't in the same weight class.
Mm-hmm. Or you were probably in a higher age or something. And
maybe that's what it was. Because it was, dude, it was one of those moments. And I never experienced high school wrestling, because I was out of it by then. Because I was doing the skateboarding and, whatever else. But I remember it was one of those moments where it's a single light. And it was a showdown.
This was like your moment.
It was my moment. And it was me and Jesse Moya.
Ooh, that kid
Coach
was tough.
Yeah, was tough, dude.
That kid was very tough.
He was in my same... And he was like, dude, he walked in with medals, and I was like,
yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
He's a tough dude, Coach Moya's son.
His dad was like a Navy SEAL or something crazy.
He's a bad dude, and that was the final.
And you had a showdown with him?
And we were the last people in the gym.
Wow.
And it was two Belen guys, and I was like, dude, and we went all arounds, didn't pin me. And I remember when we got done, dude, I was just exhausted.
Like you laid it all out.
And I cried because I knew I lost.
Yeah.
I knew he got more points.
Yeah.
But he didn't pin me. I remember that's what it was. And I was like, you know what? That was, even to this day, I'm like, dude, I still think about that. And I still have my silver medal from that. Dude, I fought it. And I was like, you know what? This guy who was a state champ, whose dad was a badass.
That's sick.
And I was like,
you still have that?
I still have it.
That is so cool, man.
From that tournament, because I was like, I was like, that was a big like confidence booster.
Yeah.
Like, put your mind to it, and like, because I had that shiner that day, and I was like, oh, and I was embarrassed. You were like almost embarrassed.
Yeah.
To have that shiner,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, you know what? And like, it came down to me and this guy that went to the same schools. And it was a single light. Gym was done. Everyone was gone except for the Belen people.
And everyone's sitting watching.
Dude. And I was like, I can't. Like, I made it this far.
Yeah.
I can't lose.
Right.
And he won by points. And I knew it. As soon as we were done, and you're taking off straps.
Yeah,
you just knew. And you're like, and I started to cry, dude. And I was like, you know what it is. And, they raised his hand. And I was like, you know what? And they handed me a silver medal. And I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Because I was probably like a couple years into junior wrestling.
Dude,
I didn't do it for very long.
Are you glad that your parents made you do it even just for that little while?
Oh, yeah.
Even though it wasn't like your thing, like, do you think you got something out of it?
100%, dude. I played a lot of sports.
Yeah. I mean, we've done football. We've done all kinds of stuff together.
I did it all. And we did it all. And then we even went past, like, high school sports. We did the skateboarding stuff. And we did, just whatever stuff. Steers.
Riding steers.
We did everything.
Riding bulls.
We did a lot more stuff than high school sports had to offer.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is, I think it benefited me personally, like 100%. Like, you learn a lot of lessons.
It's crazy.
Getting sat down like that. Dude.
Those battles, how much they teach you about yourself, Oh,
dude.
When you go through it and, your mom, your dad, all the people that you depend on can't be there for you.
It's just you. And
you can't do anything about it. And you can't, like, blame a team member for messing up because it's just you and that other person.
Dude.
And if you win, it's all you. So high risk, high reward. But if you get your butt kicked, then, you have no one to blame but yourself. Yeah. So it's like, it's just all mental, dude. You don't realize it, but like sports like that, one-on-one contact sports.
It's huge.
Even like fighting, like someone can be the best wrestler or best fighter in practice. But when it comes down to doing it under the dome light and you got all the pressure of all these people,
you get in your head real
that's
fast,
when
dude.
You really figure out who's meant to be out there and who's true. Because it's all mental at that point. Like some people just don't show up.
Yeah.
And that was something I battled with too. Like I get in my head, dude. Like I'm like you. I didn't show it, but I was always just like, I doubted myself sometimes, And it took me like up until I got into high school and stuff to like really like have confidence that I could beat people,
Dude, I remember going to see you at the state stuff.
Yeah.
We were always there for that. We were probably
I think it was like at Santa Ana or something like that.
And dude, that was such a big thing, and I was like, I always made it a point like I want to go talk to Josh.
Yeah.
And
you'd pray with me.
Yeah, I'd pray.
We'd pray like on the sidelines.
And I'm like, dude, like
you'd pray with me.
And I was like trying to get. And maybe I didn't know you were in your head so much as I was in my head. Yeah. So I was like, dude, like I'm not very good.
Yeah.
I got even after that, I was like, I probably got lucky, right?
For sure.
But it's seeing you with even like our pictures, right?
Yeah.
Take your junior wrestling pictures.
Oh, dude.
And I had mine, and I had like 3 medals, right?
Yeah.
Well, then there's little Josh Griego doing stacked medals. And I was like, shit, dude, I'm a scrub right now, dude. But and I remember losing to people that were like years younger than me.
Yeah.
And I was just so bummed. But then mom and dad were like, that guy's been wrestling since he was like walking.
Yeah.
Why are you mad that you're in your first year and he pinned you?
For sure.
I'm like, because he's 3 years younger than me, 2 years younger than me. I should be better. And they're like, you're not. You need to learn it. You don't know anything.
It's hard, man.
Those Barber boys, dude.
Yeah, the Barber boys were tough.
Tough dudes.
And then we grew up with the generation of like Tom and Nate's class, which were seniors when we were like freshmen. That was a whole different group of people that I don't think will ever exist again.
No.
And we're talking like the toughest, I hate to use the word, but like douchebags that you've ever seen. But they were also cool. So you were like wanted to hang with them.
The ones you knew.
They would consider you, but then like they would get you into stuff. And like I remember because I was on varsity my freshman year, and I was like the only freshman, and it was all those guys. It was like Justin Maestas, Jaime Yalch, Steven Carrillo, Daniel Taylor, all these guys. Tyler East.
Jesse Maestas.
And then, like, we were so good at the time that we would travel all the way to Dallas. Like, we were beating teams all across the country. And I remember that these guys were so rough and so rowdy that whenever we would lose a duel match, like at the big duel tournament in Dallas, people would cheer. The whole crowd would cheer, even if it wasn't their team. And then every time we would win, everyone would boo. And it got to the point where they had to hide us in the locker rooms after each duel because the crowd was they hated us so much. Dude, we were the only team that had full sleeve tattoos, bro.
Yeah.
Like in high school.
Yeah.
Like you would get like Eric Baca and all these guys.
Yeah.
And we were like, look, ghetto, bro. Like ghetto as hell.
Yeah.
And then there's me, bro. I don't even have freaking armpit hair, bro. I was like all little, like.
But you're killing though.
Hiding behind Tyler East.
You're
like they were trying to fight us. But I remember that was the first time I like really experienced like prejudiceness. Oh, like people, like racist people were like calling us names like Mexicans, you dirty. But dude, the best part about it is we were killing everyone.
Yeah.
We were like they would get this 4-time state champ, and Steven Carrillo would just stick him, dude, in the first period, and these guys hated us.
Tough guys, dude.
But like those guys were horrible, man. Like they were good, but they were like, I mean, I don't want to like say names or anything, but I remember like when you think of hazing, I remember someone had a screwdriver in my ribs, like in the wrestling room, and they're like, you know, say something, do something. What are you gonna do? Literally to the point where like blood was coming out, like just to torture you, bro. Yeah, but then like it made you like tough, bro. Yeah. Like it was weird. Yeah. Then the next day you're like hanging out with them. They'll give you a ride home. So it was like this weird like 100%. Like fraternity group that we grew up behind that just like molded us to kind of be a little bit more not on edge, but just like callous to things, you know? Like you would see fights and it would just like wouldn't even faze you. Like I can't tell you how many fights I've seen in the wrestling room that I wish someone would have recorded. And I'm going to like say this and I'm going to say names because it was probably to this date the best fight I've ever seen in my life in person. Tyler East and Bryce Cargyle.
Dude, that's a legendary fight.
Oh my God, dude.
Dude, I feel like everyone knows that one.
Dude, but to be there, I've never heard punches like in real time sound so loud. Like you're hearing this, like just loud, and the room is silent. And if you guys know Bryce Cargyle and Tyler East, like freaks of nature. It was like watching the Hulk fight Abomination. And like it was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like, is someone gonna die? Mm-hmm. No one could break that up, dude. Like if you jump in that, you're gonna die,
dude.
So everyone was just like, and I remember Bryce and Tyler East, and Tyler East was hitting Bryce in the jugular, straight jabs. And you could just hear the noise of his throat, like, and Bryce is still going, dude. And I will say this, Bryce did land a shot on Tyler, and it buckled him pretty good, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It
buckled him, and then I think Coach Brian McCartney jumped on him, and they broke it up. But it was close to even.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's why I have so much respect for, like, Bryce and those guys, because, like, dude. God, man. And then it was like, we would be, like, all, like, best friends the next day. That was the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Like, you would just fight it out, and then the next day you're cool.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, I guess. But
I didn't experience that.
Yeah.
My last one.
But you've been with me on a couple little rowdy little things, huh?
I mean, we won't say stories and...
and you want a beer? I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, give me that little blue, the skinny blue one in there.
There you go.
But I won't say...
this is actually carbonated water.
Yeah, this is just water. But I won't say times and who was with us, or we definitely weren't driving Auntie's vehicle, and
my mom, you mean?
Yeah.
We definitely weren't house sitting.
We weren't house sitting. We didn't have a handful of guys in that vehicle. We definitely didn't leave anyone behind. But dude, yeah, I always believed in Josh and wrestling, right?
Yeah.
You're tough, dude. Every time state would come around, like, dude, I knew you had it. Like, we would talk, like, who's in your bracket, and we'd sit there and like, oh, this guy over here, and then like your biggest thing, I remember you would tell me is like, dude, this guy, he's not just a wrestler, he's jiu-jitsu. Right. And I'm like, shoot, dude. And I was like, that's tough, man. You didn't even hear someone that does the wrestling and that jiu-jitsu stuff at that age.
For sure. It's tough. I know who you're talking about, too.
And I was like...
That kid was a 3-time world champion in jiu-jitsu outside of wrestling.
And that's what I'm saying.
It's like weird.
And so I was like, dude, but you know what I mean? Like, but even then, and I don't... Maybe you lost.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But even then, I'm like, dude, but you're good.
Yeah.
Because at that point, like you said, it is mental.
Yeah.
When you're on a stage like that, which that's a stage, right? You're on stage. You're in front of all these people. It's state. It's the highest pressure in all these wrestlers. For sure. If you can't perform,
you're cutting all this weight.
Yeah.
You're exhausted.
You know, you're probably weak. You're all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, it's just, and it was. And I probably didn't say that because I probably didn't know. But it was. You were on a stage, and the guys who could perform on the stage probably were the ones who were taking state, and the guys who couldn't were probably losing. Right. They might have been better.
Yeah.
But they can't perform on the stage,
right.
And that's why they lost. But I remember sitting there when we just talk about like who's in the bracket, and dude, I remember like I felt so cool that I could sit there with you, and I'm like
scouting stuff.
I would put you against anyone.
Yeah. And then even like with fights too, you'd be in my corner.
And then like
outside of wrestling.
Yeah,
you always had my back.
And then even some of the stuff we got into, I'm like, this guy's serious right now? like he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't know anything.
Are you talking about like guys who would start fights with me and stuff like that?
Yeah, because
I'm
definitely not a fight starter.
So this is what I'll say. I was a big time target because I'm 29 and like people still think I'm like 18. So like if you guys can imagine how young I looked when I was 18 and then we're at college parties, like who's this kid? You know what I mean?
And
so there would be older guys, there would be like some 23-year-old, who's this kid, whatever, you know what I mean? And like I
always started
at Lobo Village a couple times.
Dude, I thought Josh killed this guy. He was violent. But that dude deserved it.
He did.
He's not a good dude. Wasn't a nice guy. We were messing around and cheap shot at Josh and
yeah.
And
so me and this guy, he was like maybe 22 at the time.
No.
Older?
Yeah, because I remember when you were on top of him.
26.
26.
Yeah, because I
remember what you were saying.
Yeah. So he was 26 and I was 19 or 18 or whatever we were old enough, right out of high school maybe.
You significantly
Yeah,
older.
and this guy, we got into like a little scuffle. He was just talking crap to me all night, and I like made a joke to him, and he like took it serious. And it got to the point where it was heated, and everyone's like, "Hey, hold up, you know what's going on?" And so everyone's just holding me back, right? Like for some reason, I had both hands behind my back.
Because we all knew what would happen.
And so someone had me double wrapped, and they had him back for a second. And I guess he knew enough people there to be like, hold on, everyone. He's like, I'm going to apologize. So everyone's like, okay, like, all right, let's just let this guy apologize. So I have someone holding my back, but I'm also at the corner of a wall. So like, this is like right here, a corner of a wall. I'm like right dead center. And so this guy's like, okay, I'm going to shake his hand. So he goes to like shake my hand. And like, I don't even know if they even let me get my hand out.
I don't think so.
He just walked up to me like he was going to shake my hand and just cold cocked me as hard as he could. And like, he hit me so hard that my head hit the back corner of the wall and it cut my eye open. Like, because there was like, you know when you punch someone and the head goes back? My head couldn't go back because it was against the wall.
Hit the corner.
It was just boom! And all of a sudden I had this cut on my eye. And I'm like, you guys all saw that, right? And then this guy leaves the party, and they're like, Josh, you're good.
Yeah, because everyone knew.
Yeah, everyone knew this guy just got the best of me, and I was totally helpless. And it was just super unfair, especially because I was cut, dude. Like, that was totally messed up. So I go to the back room, I'm cleaning my eye up, it's bleeding. I don't know if I got stitches or not. I don't think I stitched it.
No.
But I was with my boys. Tim was with me, Matt Adams, Jarek. Mike Flores, just like my close circle, the guys I probably brought to the party, and I'm getting cleaned up, and they're like, Josh, you know what just happened, right? And I told everyone, I said, you know what's gonna happen, right? And everyone just knew.
And
everyone didn't like try and talk me out of it because they all knew that he deserved it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So I'm in the outcome. That's why we hold you back. We hold you back because we knew the outcome. If it was going to happen in there, we knew the outcome.
Right.
So then the fact that he did it the way he did it
was totally uncalled for.
He asked for it now.
Yeah.
We tried to settle it like men and shake hands, but nope, you decided to do that. Now it's your ass.
We basically just made like an agreement, like, okay, it's going to be one-on-one. I'm going to go down there because the guy was like down there hanging out at the bottom. But I was like, if anyone jumps in, like, you guys know what's up. You know, because there was a lot of college kids that we didn't even know. Yeah. And
I think there was like 2 guys with him.
Right,
there was like 3 of us.
Right. But it was just like a kind of like, don't jump in unless you have to or if someone, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and we told his friends that.
Yeah, straight up.
I was like, dude, that was uncalled for. They're going to settle it now if you guys jump in, which these dudes were dressed too nice to have the thought that they were going to jump in a fight, right?
Yeah, they were like wearing button-up shirts or something.
So we said, no one jumps in. They're settling it right now.
I was probably wearing my Belen High School shirt.
And you were in your singlet, dude. You're always ready. And so, so we all said, all right, no one's jumping in. And then...
Yeah, so I mean, we just basically just went one-on-one downstairs, and I got the best of him for sure.
Oh, it was violent.
And,
it, like, pumps me up just thinking about this stuff.
Yeah, it was like a real life, I mean, from what I remember, there was just, like, a circle of people, like, in a parking lot. And I just called him out, and he was just down to go, so I'm like, all right. He even threw the first punch.
Yeah.
He threw the first punch. Have you guys ever seen Spider-Man 1?
It's all slow.
Yeah, you know when he throws the punch and he just looks at it like, really?
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. Like, I saw it and I was just like, this is stupid. And I just went, boom.
That was the one left.
Yeah, probably.
He thought he was...
Yeah,
he
probably thought he was like,
what the heck, dude?
And so, anyways, I think the first hit, I just buckled him. And then he was trying to get up and just whatever.
It was like playing UFC 4, dude.
Yeah,
You're playing with the best character. And then the character,
the button pusher,
and then your character you made with like 1 star, right?
Yeah.
So then you're the best character, and this guy was the 1-star character, and you hit him once, and just he seized up, and went down, and on the way down, caught him with a knee.
Yeah,
and then he goes straight to his back, and then it got real violent after that.
Dude, I don't want like people to get the wrong like perception of me, like I'm some guy that goes and like looks for fights or
we weren't
like
we
a
weren't.
super. I don't want people to think I'm like a confrontational person. Because I'm really not. Like, I honestly was just a target, like, at that age. That, like, just being... And then you know how it is, bro. You party long enough, good things don't happen. Like, if you guys stay up past 1 a.m. and you guys are all still drinking, something bad's going to happen.
Bound to.
Someone's going to do something dumb. People are going to be, like, get jealous or whatever. And, yeah, man.
It's bound to happen.
I was thinking of, like, another time, too, like an uncalled for time, but with Mylan. Where someone thought that I was Mylan, and I had to fight someone.
I remember that.
Because at the time, so we used to always go to like we used to go to the night swims.
Yeah.
So it was like a high school thing. It was like super like innocent. Like we had our little girlfriends and we'd meet at Sonic, hang out. Like at the time, Sonic was like the blend thing to do before anything. You know what I mean? And so like I was hanging out at Sonic. I don't know if Tim was there. You might have showed up later.
I showed up after.
But
because I heard what happened.
Anyways, Mylan, our best friend, my best friend at the time, he was dating this girl, right? And I'll just say it. Or no, I don't want to say it. I don't want to out her.
Yeah, I'll say it.
But
don't say any names.
Yeah, I won't say it. But I will say Mylan.
Because they're still locals.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But we're sitting like on the tailgate, and I'm there, and Mylan's girlfriend at the time was there with me. And Mylan wasn't there yet. So like Mylan hadn't showed up. And we're sitting on my tailgate, and this girl's like crying to me because I got there, she was there before. She's like, my ex-boyfriend just came and grabbed my hair and said, I can't believe you're cheating or talking to another guy already, whatever. And she was just crying, like he literally grabbed my hair, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, if I see that guy again, I was like, I swear I'll beat him up. I was like livid, and literally it was like the universe. As soon as I said that, this guy pulls up again. And I could just tell immediately. There was no communication. Parks his big old giant truck, gets out, and he literally grabs her hair, throws her to the side, and just takes a punch at me, dude. On the tailgate. No words, nothing. I'm like lucky enough to have ducked the punch to where it didn't get me. And I got under his arm and I just slammed him, dude. Boom! And like the way that I slammed him, his head just hit the concrete like perfect. So he was like all dazed and trying to get away, and I was like, you ain't going nowhere. I like grabbed him again, dude.
Look, get back going.
Yeah, and I was on top of him just because like the girl, like there was just so much emotions. And the fact that he just punched me for no reason. He thought I was Mylan. He thought that I was like hooking up with her.
Yeah.
And so like I was on top of him and the cops arrest me, bro. Because you know how there's always a blind cop?
Yeah.
And the cops grab me and they're like putting me in handcuffs. And then all of a sudden, luckily I had enough people there that witnessed it. That were like, Josh was just defending himself. Because I was, dude. Like, this guy was just swinging at me all wild. Grabbed her hair. So they ended up taking him to jail. And then I got away with it. And then they just let me go. And then we went to the blend pool party after.
But then I got an ocean water.
Yeah, I was like, Mylan, you owe me big time, bro. I was like, I just fought someone for you.
Well, you're buying the next round of Conies.
Because, dude, if Mylan was there and I wasn't, he would have had to fight that guy.
Yeah.
So it kind of maybe worked out better.
Serendipitous.
You know?
Got you a little more
experience. So Mylan, you owe me.
I'm
gonna have you do some edits for my podcast. No, I'm not just kidding.
Some cookout, dude.
Yeah, but I don't want this podcast to just be like, oh, all these fights and stuff. Like,
no,
we've had that's just examples because like we were talking earlier. like thrill seeking stuff that you just won't forget. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about these battles, like you were in all these battles with me. You know.
And we'll get into some heartfelt stuff.
Yeah.
In a second, but until then, we're gonna take a quick break because I got a phone call to make.
He has diarrhea.
Diarrheas. All right, we'll be right back.
All right. So we're back. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Have you seen
Tom Cruise? I sent that to you.
Ben Stiller, dude? That's the funniest thing. We thought of the same thing.
There's an Instagram thing where Ben Stiller's mimicking Tom Cruise with Tom Cruise. That's funny.
It's hilarious. If you haven't seen that, look it up. Ben Stiller mimicking Tom Cruise. It's hilarious.
So,
but
go ahead.
Damn it, I did it again.
What? The fan? So before we cut for a restroom break, we were kind of talking about, crazy fight stories and all these situations and conflicts that we got ourselves into that, obviously looking back, you don't regret nothing, but at the same time, it's not like the same person that we are now, 100%. So like we were both just talking on break about how much that we de-escalate situations that could lead to violence or something like that. I mean, like, how, all the fight, like we've seen what like simple arguments can lead to. And we've seen how bad people can get hurt and, stuff that like injuries that could last a lifetime. I've never said this on a podcast or anything, but one of my best friends, and I don't want to say his name or anything, but one of my best friends in high school and college, he got shot and he passed away. He got shot in the chest and, he was the nicest dude ever. Great personality, just a good, genuine guy. But just one little simple little argument, one little conflict led to that just for no reason. You know what I mean? He's just like a guy like me and you. Like he was never, but just one night out and then your whole life changes. Just because some little tiny, what, bro, what? 2 seconds later, you're done. You know what I mean? And like, even like, I'm just thinking of like, I'm like, having like past like traumatic experience come up, but like there was a time where I was at Allsup's just getting burritos for my girlfriend at the time. We went to a Chris Brown concert. Everyone knows Allsup's off 314 by the Wild Pony. This was the night that the Wild Pony got shut down. What used to be
the Wild Pony.
Yes, this was the last night the Wild Pony was the Wild Pony. And I was just getting burritos. There was like maybe 15 people outside, like my car was parked in front of Allsup's, and right behind my truck on the other side, I'm on this side, there's 10 people here, 10 people here in an argument. Just like, sounds like it's going to be a street fight or something. So I'm like with my burritos, like, oh, sick, I'm going to see a fight. 2 seconds later, everyone pulls out revolvers and just starts shooting each other. Shooting my truck. I had 7 holes in my truck. A bullet was shot directly at me, and my dad bought me a toolbox the day before. Big old thick steel toolbox, caught the bullet and the bullet bounced around in there. I had the bullet for the longest time, but that bullet was directly aimed at me, dude. Just a simple little argument outside of a bar. Biker gangs, just talking crap. I drove out of there like all crazy. They found me on camera like a month later because I was not going to confess, dude. I was watching Sons of Anarchy at the time. And I saw the biker gang thing. It was the Banditos.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Two people died right there. On the other side of my truck. Dead. And I drove off. I got out of there and I was like, I'm never speaking of this. But like 3 or 4 months down the road, I think they caught me on camera and they made me give a statement. And they actually had me bring in my truck and inspected it. And they found 4 more bullets in my truck that I didn't even know were in there. But like, this is just like the most severe example of what like some simple little scuffle can lead to. People don't realize this. All these guys want to act all macho at a bar. You've been lifting weights all summer and you like feel good about yourself and you're like, whoa, what's up? Dude, some little vato's gonna freaking cap you and not even think twice about it. He's never lifted a weight in his life, but he could take your life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You were just telling me a story about like with you and Anna, like, having to like de-escalate a situation because it involves someone else,
Yeah.
Like you what did you say? You guys were driving and
No, it was after church one day, and we go mom wanted to get lunch after church, so we go to a restaurant in Albuquerque, and this dude cut me off, and we had to slam on our brakes, and I yelled at him, and he yelled at me, and I was like, dude, what are you thinking? Like, if I wasn't paying attention, I would have slammed into you. So then we park in the back, which is probably a horrible idea at the time, looking back. So this guy parks in the back too, and we're walking inside up to the front, the main entrance. That's where you go in. And I hear, "What's up?" And I knew right away, oh, it's that guy. I didn't have to turn around. It's that guy. So when he passed me, when he finally pulled around me, but before I almost hit him, I just saw his head. And we were talking crap as he passed, and then I drove around, he parked. I didn't know he was going to the same place. And so I hear, "What's up?" And I was like, "Oh, it's that guy." And so I turn around. This dude's huge. Like I'm gonna get knocked out, right?
Yeah.
And your pride says, don't back down. Get knocked out. Take this as far as as far as it can go.
Even if it means you getting whatever.
Yeah, you getting put down on your butt.
But you're not gonna fold.
Yeah. So I was like, because I was in the right. I was right, and this is when I learned it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It can get to a place where it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
All rules, all morals, all logical thought is out the door, right? It's just reacting.
Mm-hmm.
And so
fight or flight.
Yeah, and it becomes me, the student, into his face, and this guy's 3 times my size, huge. And we're yelling at each other, and on at the time, we weren't even married, and she's pushing us apart. She's like, "This is not happening. We're good. We're not fighting here." And then 3 girls that this guy was with had walked up, and they walked up on Anna, pushing us apart.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Don't touch my man," right?
So right away, now Anna's in this mix.
Now right away, Anna's involved.
3 girls.
3 girls. And at the time, I was okay with me getting my butt kicked because I knew it was going to happen. If it came out to it, oh no, I'm getting put down, right? But now I saw the situation was going to become a huge thing to where if I get knocked out, she's up against 3 girls. She's going to have your back or help you. They were not small girls either. I knew what the outcome would be. If I get knocked out, if I fight this guy, he's going to knock me out. And I know her against 3 girls is not going to be good. It's going to be violent. So, and I've had this advice given to me over the years. Just, swallow your pride sometimes and take a step back and walk away. And so when I saw this happening, I even stopped arguing with the guy, and he was still yelling at me. And I saw these girls walking up. And I grabbed her by her arm. That she was pulling us apart. I grabbed her by both arms, put my arms around her. I said, "Let's go." I said, "You know what, dude? I'm sorry. I apologize. It was my fault. I apologize again." Blah, blah, blah. So we started walking away, and he was talking crap the whole time. "Yeah, that's what I thought, dude. Turn back, turn away from me. That's what I thought. Blah, blah." And the thought of something happening to her, because I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
It humbles you real quick. And if I was 3 years younger.
Yeah.
I would let it go.
Right. But you wouldn't even give thought about anyone around you. It's
Yeah.
just all pride. What?
Yeah, it's all
I'm not
pride.
going to back down.
Yeah.
I've never been raised to back down at all.
Yeah, I'll take this till I get dropped on the floor and I black out, and the ambulance wakes me up.
Right.
That's where I was at first.
Yeah.
And then I saw this happening. I said, "Nope, I'm sorry, dude. Let's go inside." Boom.
Right.
I walked away, and he talked crap all the way till we got inside. And
it takes a lot, man. It's hard to do. You have to really humble yourself. Some people cannot swallow their pride and just take the L.
It's hard.
Sometimes you got to just take the L, man. I know I could probably beat this guy up. Or, I just don't want to look like a wimp backing down and saying sorry. Some people just can't say sorry, bro.
Yeah.
But, you were smart enough to realize the outcome, that what could have been.
Yeah.
That's a big sign of maturity, man.
It's scary.
Because
the thought of that, what could have happened, is very scary. Even normal stuff.
Yeah.
Like normal stuff. You get into a small argument with someone, like you said.
Yeah.
You don't know who they are. And that could be like a good thing and a bad thing, right? So you see the small guy who knows how to fight, and he's getting picked on by some big guy, right? And it turns into something, right? And no one expects the small guy to be able to defend himself.
Right.
And then the small guy drops the big guy.
Right.
And you're like, dude, heck yeah, right? And you cheer the small guy, right?
Right.
But then now it's not it doesn't become a one-on-one thing.
Mm-mm.
It becomes a one-on-a-pistol thing or something.
Well,
like
there's
that.
real life consequences. I mean, we all got careers, we got families. It's like, you want to jeopardize all that just because you don't want to back down to someone that bumped into you at a bar?
Yeah.
So
scary.
I mean, the other day, like, I had 4 or 5 people. I was with Kiana. Same thing. I was with my girlfriend, Kiana. I pulled out onto the road, like, how, like, let's say there's cars going this way, and I was taking a left. So I pulled out, normal, no cars, and these guys were going 120 down this road, Wyoming or something. So when I pulled out and they're going 100, they almost hit me, like flying. These guys automatically think it's my fault, flipping me off, running me off the side of the road. Literally, I'm not kidding you. One guy was hitting my car. And Kiana was like, babe, what do we do? And I just kept driving. I was like, I'm just going to keep driving. These guys don't know. If I wanted to, I could just turn the wheel and destroy all their lives. Mm. Like, yeah, if I really wanted to. Like, these guys don't realize I'm in a car. You guys are on your little motorcycles. But, dude, I'm not kidding you. I just calmly pulled over and let them pass, flipping me off, doing all kinds of stuff, dude. And I'm like, babe, just... Because she was freaking out. And I was just like, I'm not going to, like, you have to just de-escalate. Mm-hmm. And then I let them do their thing, and they thought they got a W. Yeah, we pulled them off the road, and they took off. But I'm like, that's it. That's just where it ends,
Yeah.
But those guys, it's like, dude, these guys don't realize if I was someone else, I could literally just turn my wheel and your life's done. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you going to do to me? It's like, so even though you could win sometimes, it's worth just taking the L. Because look, I have Kiana with me. Like you said, when other people are involved, it changes everything. And now we have so many people that we care about around us all the time that it's not worth even showing any type of thing like that. Mm-hmm.
And in episode 1, me and Pops, shout out Pops, we talked about the moment or the times that you feel like you become a man, right? And you feel like, all right, there's a moment that happens in your life, you're like, all right, I'm in it now. I'm doing it. I'm becoming exactly what I wanted to be, right?
Yeah.
And then you have people like that who make you feel like less of a guy because you're like, you know what, dude? It's not worth it for me. Maybe for you because you have nothing to lose, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't have any family or don't have any friends.
Or maybe you just got fired and you're just on edge and you're ready to...
and you never know. And I forgot what video I was watching. I don't know, it was a Tim Kennedy video.
Tim Kennedy, I just saw a video with him and Brian Callen yesterday.
Dude, the dude's a man. I have his book. Have you ever started reading his book?
He's a Navy SEAL.
Dude, you gotta buy that book. It is. Because we've taken a few flights around, to visit Milan, to Arizona. I've taken a few flights. Mm-hmm. And every now and then, because when I get home from work, I don't want to sit there and read the book, right? So I've been reading his book, on the flights. We've been traveling a lot. And my goodness, dude. Is such a good book, but he's talking about his life and stuff that he's done, and it's like it's nuts. It's scary to read the book. You're on edge. You're at the edge of your seat.
It with him.
You're in it with him. And you're like, dude, this is nuts.
What's it called?
Scars and Stripes, dude.
So does it talk about in the book? And I'm pretty sure it might, but like how he basically got into the military.
Yeah.
Like when he just jumped into like something bay where all the sharks are at, and he just decided to just swim as far as he could.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like to the point where he was literally like gonna die.
Yeah.
And like the Coast Guard was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. He tells
like, I don't know.
in detail. It is nuts. And he tells I was going through this hard time, and he tells the whole backstory.
Has a kid, all the stuff, like real life's just smacking him in the face.
It's nuts. But then in the book, he's talking about a situation where it's like you don't know what people are going through and how far they are willing to take it. Like, we talk about, like, us being able to be like, dude, it's not worth it. You won. I lost. I'm going to move on.
Right.
Sometimes pride, you don't get the best of your own pride, and you take it as far as they're willing to take it, but some people will take it further than you think they'll take it, and that's when something really bad happens.
Right?
Yeah. But for me now, I'll always suck it up, take the L. But then there's those moments like the what ifs.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's what ifs. You can only suck it up for so long, and it becomes like a real thing. Mm-hmm. Which I always pray that none of this stuff has to happen.
Yeah. That's why I'm thankful that we have God in our lives.
Oh, dude.
And we I don't want to get like, too spiritual or biblical. I don't know, like, half of our listeners, but I'm a believer in God. And like I kind of even though we've done all these crazy things in our life, I always go back to like my just the Bible and like the stories in it, you know, everyone's like, is it real? Is it not real? Whether you think it's real or not, if you just read the stories and the parables and all these things,
it's a good guide.
You can at least get good guidance on how to be righteous and do the right thing. You know, like you look at like how when Jesus came to earth, if you just read the book of like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, like all these stories, whether you believe it or not, like we're just talking about a book, how you got that stuff out of it. The Bible is like that to me, where I like look at these stories and I see the outcomes, and then like I try and put it and acquire it to my own life, you know. Mm-hmm. Like when Jesus came down to earth, like how did he live? What was he like? Did he think he was better than everyone? He's God. No, he didn't. He played the most humble character of all. You know, the person that literally created heaven and earth came down and was literally like born in the slums.
Just took L's.
It's like, it's poetic, dude. Yeah. It really is poetic. And so like I think of myself and like the life that I was given, you're just blessed. Like look at like where we're at. It's just luck. Like I mean, I don't want to say it's just luck, but like we didn't choose to have the lives that we were given. But
we're blessed enough to have them.
Exactly. And if you don't show gratitude and you don't appreciate the moments that you're in, whether you're on your last dollar in life or whether you just made $1 million, your life can go in 2 seconds. So if you're not constantly paying gratitude to whoever you think is, you know, above you, which in my case, I believe in God, you don't know at any moment when that could go. And then you're on your deathbed regretting or praying to, you know, it's crazy.
And you're done.
Yeah. So like at any moment, and it's hard because you don't want to live too much like that where I could die at any moment. Like I'm scared.
Paranoid every day.
You don't want to be afraid, but you want to just not forget to give gratitude at all moments in life. Like right now I'm dealing with a lot like behind the scenes that people don't know or I don't show to anyone. Only the closest people to me know what I'm going through. And it's mainly just health issues and stuff like that, multiple surgeries. Stuff that I can use to make excuses to be depressed or something like that. But I choose them to be a wake up call to appreciate life. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like you could choose, like we were talking about on break, like we were using relationships for an example. You can make it like you and your wife. You can make it the best thing in the world or you can make it the worst thing in the world. You have the control. You have the ability to control the outcome. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't like, it's hard to put into words, but you have more control over your life and your outcome than you think.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to choose to be in a hole and that there's no way out, then that's what it's going to be.
It gets pretty dark.
But then you hear about people who've made multi-million dollars. You look at, I mean, I'm just pulling the first example that popped in my head, but like you think of Conor McGregor. He was on welfare, literally on his last dollar, and he went all in. He said, you know what, I'm going to be the world champion of UFC. I'm going to be a multi-title world champion. I'm literally down to nothing, and he just went for it and took it. So you know what I mean? Like there's like stories like that where if you just like tell yourself you can do it and get yourself out of a situation, you could do it, man.
You can. It's all mental.
Yeah, it's like mental. Even like we were talking about those wrestling matches.
Yeah.
It is so much mental.
What do you think about, what are you willing to put into it to get out of it?
Yes.
Right? And it's like, that's exactly what it is. Like, you don't have to be the best.
Right.
But if your mind's strong enough,
yeah.
Dude, I'm going to do a throwback. Rudy.
Oh, yeah. Notre Dame?
Dude, come on.
Yeah.
It's like Forrest Gump,
yeah.
Rudy. There's all these stories of like, they're movies, right? But you're like, Rocky, you watch these movies and you're like, dude.
Right.
Like, that's what it is. That's life. And then you can apply that. Like their situations, you can make it applicable to your own life. Mm-hmm. And you're like, dude, like, we all know their movies.
Right.
We all know their made up stories. But some people don't know that Sylvester Stallone, to do Rocky, that was like his own money. That was like his story.
He wrote it.
He did it. He's like, I'm playing this character. I'm going to do that. I'm only doing it if it's this. He did it himself, all this stuff.
And they even offered him money.
Yeah, for it.
He said, no, I won't.
Yeah. And that his dog, I don't know if you know this.
Yeah,
he sold his dog to get enough money to do it himself. And when the movie became a huge hit, he bought his dog back.
Yeah,
right. That's wild. So like, what are you willing to put in? A little bit of heartache, a little bit of time, whatever it is. What are you willing to put in so that you can get this out of it? Right.
This is the way I see it. I think the people who were born with the least in life have the most to gain.
Yeah.
So if you look at yourself and you're unhappy with your life, look at all that you have to gain. How cool of a story would it be if you made it out?
Yeah. If you're already at the bottom.
Yeah. If you're born with, because some people who are born with nothing are like, he was born with all this money, look, his life's great. But that person doesn't have nothing to fight for. He doesn't have no life experience to gain. You have everything to gain. Mm-hmm. Like, you look at all these stories that we had, we didn't have nothing, but look at all these cool stories we have now. All these near-death experiences and all these crazy times that we got out of that we didn't know we were going to live through. Like, they all were carved through a path of, perseverance,
100%.
And it's fun, though. Like, you got to just have fun while you're going through it.
And even
you got to just stop and laugh sometimes, dude.
And even in those times, you're not necessarily thinking about that, but you can look back and be like, oh, dude. And then you can even take more from those stories from the future than you did in the initial moment.
Exactly, man.
And I think that's super cool. But right now, it's midnight, and I just turned 30 years old.
What? Dude,
did you know that?
I thought it was... I was going to say I thought it was tomorrow, but it's today, dude.
It's midnight.
Congratulations, man. Let's have a celebration.
Pull me another one out of there. I don't know what's in there.
Yeah.
Whatever you're having.
Here you go.
Have another one.
Vodka? No, I'm just kidding.
I got a gallon vodka.
Dude, I'm happy for you, man. They don't have that kind, though.
That's fine. Give me one of yours.
Okay. It's just Sprite, but here you go.
Thank you for the Sprite.
Dude, happy birthday.
Thank you.
This is the best way, what better way to celebrate your birthday, man?
That's what I'm saying. I got to see some good buddies today. Shout out Juan. Shout out Michael. I got to end it with my cousin. But dude, I've always been and I even told James the same thing. I don't want to sound lame, right? So I told James, I'm going to sound lame. Because you're the person who got me, and I told him I wanted to play guitar. And Tom took my guitar to Bullet High and it got stolen, of course. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to play drums. James got me into playing drums. And I've been addicted ever since. Okay, so and I said, I was like, I wanted to be you, right?
Yeah.
So then for you and I,
mm-hmm.
I always wanted my shining moment was that duel between me and Moya. But I saw you have those moments consistently through all your wrestling, mm-hmm. right? And then I see you coaching. I'm like, dude, that's a love you've had since we were first grade, right?
Yeah.
The wrestling's a love you had, right? And then you did it, and you became state champion. You became all these things, and then you're teaching it. And mm-hmm. I feel like that's something so natural to people. Is like you love it so much, you want to pass on that feeling. And me and James talked about the feeling of being on stage mm-hmm. and people clapping for you, or people cheering you.
You want someone else to experience that, you did.
Exactly, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, and when I talked to him, I was like, and I said, because he calls Oliver Italian Jimmy. And so, because we're all Jimmys, right?
Yeah. I'm Green Jimmy.
He's Spanish, yeah. And so I was like, what advice would you give your Jimmy?
Mm.
And he goes, chase your dreams. And that's a topic of another guest I have in the future is chasing dreams, but I won't go over that right now. But seeing you and what you've done, it's kind of like it's so cool to see the full circle stuff, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was in your life in the moment or who's in it now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I mean, it 100% matters, but in the thought of doing what you've done, right. Some of those moments you probably weren't with, a significant other or whatever it is. You're probably too young to even want that, or to be even thinking about that, right?
Yeah.
You just excelled in what you were doing, and then you made it this, and then you grow up a little bit. And priorities change,
mm-hmm.
and life changes, and
work
becomes work, and it becomes, your priority is living, and you need a job to live, and you want to do these things. So if you want to do these things, you want to travel, you want to buy things, you got to go to work.
Right.
And that's just life, right?
Yeah, you just have to put in the work.
And it's always cool to see, like you and you and Mylan are probably we're cousins, but Milan's probably my oldest friend,
right.
And that was the trifecta, it was us. And it's cool to see, like, the change, because we all had our party moments, right? Mm-hmm. Where everyone does. Everyone has their party moments, and everyone does their own thing, and it's cool to see, because some people get stuck, right? Some people get stuck in that, and it's kind of sad.
In different areas in their life.
Yeah, and it bums me out sometimes when I see someone who's really good at something, and they've lost the love for it, and then they go down a different path, right? So you love something since you were little, and then you go down a different path, and you forget your love for that thing. Right. Which I told you, you're like, I'm gonna stop coaching all this stuff. I'm like, dude, I get it. I 100% get it. I get why. I get all this stuff. I'm like, but I was like, there's no cooler thing. Like, you gotta think about, like, from your dad, Uncle Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Coaching us. And then, like, it's my dad, your uncle, they go in and help, and you coach these things. I'm like, dude, you're gonna have to go back.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna have to do it when your son's in it. And that's what I told Lana, I told my dad. I'm like, honestly, I was like, I probably won't have Oliver in any kind of junior wrestling unless Josh would be the coach. Right. And then it goes further than that, because I know what I was lacking when I was doing that. I'm like, I'm not only going to have him in that if he enjoys that, which that dude does. He's a tough kid, dude.
I could tell.
I said, I want to put him in wrestling because he loves wrestling me, and he's tough.
Yeah.
Way tougher than I was, right? Because I was a little mama's boy at the time. When I was his age, I was a mama's boy. And when I see him, I'm like, dude, he's going to be a stud, right? Yeah. And I see him, and he just goes for it. We go wrestling, he'll put his head in me, dude, he'll go for it. I'm like, dude, heck yeah, it pumps me up. I'm like, son, and I'll wrestle with him, and sometimes I'm like, dude, take it easy, man. Like, you're getting too mad right now. We're just messing around, right? But he gets into it. And so I told mom and dad, I'm like, I'm going to put him in like a Gracie Barra.
Yeah, just get him. Just
because it's the energy.
To get used to hands-on, things.
Hands-on stuff. But if he really enjoyed that, like if he really enjoyed wrestling, right, in high school, if he wants to become that, I know what it takes to have the upper hand on high school wrestling.
For sure.
Jiu-jitsu.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, dude, if you know that small on-the-ground stuff, which, I mean, that's wrestling too. You're on the ground a lot of the time.
Right.
But if you know the technical stuff of
right,
ground, you're going to kill.
Oh, for sure.
And you're going to have the most confidence. And that's like a thing in any sport. If you know, like, the ins and outs.
Yeah.
The confidence it gives you to, like, become an adult or a young adult or even a full, like, an adult, right?
For sure.
You're way ahead of the game, dude. And that's where you got it from.
Yeah.
You did that to yourself.
Definitely.
And that's what I said. I always wish I had that in me that you had, but...
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And, even though I did take a step down from the head coach position after, 3 or 4 years that I did it, I'm still going to be involved. I'm still going to go to practices and stuff. I just can't take... The hardest part is, like, handling the parents, bro. I'll be running an operation at work. I can't really say what I do, but it's something super important. And I have some parent that's like, hey, you got the wrong singlet size, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like trying to, like, work, Yeah. Much less go all the way back to Belen and coach. But to me, like, it was worth it coaching where I grew up at,
100%.
Like, you have to... I almost felt guilty coaching anywhere else other than where I grew up.
Yeah.
Because we know what type of kids grow up in Belen, and they need this sport the most. Yeah. Some kids don't have, a dad, a father figure to tell them, hey, good job. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what? You need to straighten up. You're acting like a fool.
Yeah.
Go shake that guy's hand.
Yeah.
They don't have someone to, like, actually tell them how to live. You know what I mean? So some of these kids... The only exposure to, like, a father figure is going to wrestling practice 3 times a week. Mm. So when you show up to practice, that kid is locked in on you, dude.
Yeah.
So you, like, it took me, when I first got into it, I did it because, I just, it was almost not given to me, but, like, whoever was the head coach was like, I don't want anyone else to coach but you. And they basically, like, put the pressure on me. So I was almost, like, not even given a choice. And I just started doing it. But I didn't realize, the effect that you have on people's lives. You just think, oh, yeah, coaching, whatever. But you don't realize, like, we were just talking, like, this wrestling thing is, like, a big deal. When a kid gets his butt kicked and you're his coach in the corner and he's got to go to you after crying, what are you going to tell him? Like, that affects that kid's whole life, how he handles it.
They'll never forget it.
Are you gonna say, "What, you stupid idiot? You should have got off your back. We taught that in practice." Mm-hmm. Dude, you have to know how to like meet at their level and make them better. Yeah. Because if you just totally, stomp a kid out, he's gonna always think he's worthless and not good enough. But if you say, "Look, man, all we can do is try harder. Remember this match on practice on Monday, and how much. Remember how sad you are right now. When we're at practice and you're wanting to play with your friends, remember you crying. Do you want that to happen again?" Yeah. And the kid, like, all of a sudden, it helps them think ahead,
Simple life stuff.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. I think 2 sports I miss the most is either baseball and wrestling.
Baseball was fun.
I just enjoy baseball. I still do. I still watch it and stuff. But then wrestling will teach you, and it's funny, some people make fun of wrestlers, right?
Yeah. People that don't understand.
You're like, "Oh, you're dressed like that, grabbing other guys, and that's weird, blah, blah." And you're like, dude, those are people who are just completely ignorant.
Well, I mean, here's a perfect example. Like UFC, who are all the champions right now? College wrestlers?
Yeah. Oh, killing.
It's like...
They're killing.
Yeah.
And
Khabib?
Yeah, dude. And so you look at... And it's funny you say, like, those moments... Those kids will remember. Yeah. Because I remember those moments.
Right.
You do remember those moments.
You remember those conversations. It's so crazy. Like, 20 years later? Yeah. You remember a conversation you had with my dad after a match.
Yeah.
And how it shaped you to, be a man.
And yeah, I'm sure, there's no doubt in my mind, I cried to Uncle. Yeah. Because I knew how good you were.
Right.
And I'm like, I wasn't that good. I didn't perform. And I remember just crying. Right. Like I said, I couldn't handle my emotions. Hard, and man. I cried. But I never heard... Why are you crying?
Yeah.
Never heard that from any of the coaches. And there were some pretty hard-ass coaches, right? Yeah. Some tough guys that you didn't want to go to crying. But there's some coaches that you're like, you know what? They might get me a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I remember either going to dad or your dad, uncle. And there, I mean, I probably couldn't tell you any more coaches than that when we were that age. But I didn't really care about any of the coaches. It was dad and uncle.
Right.
I just remember losing and crying. I'm like, I could have done better. I got caught up in something. I couldn't get out of it, right? And I just cried. And it was the same thing. You're good.
Yeah.
It's okay. It happens to everyone. You're good. Learn. And like you said, that feeling you have now, take that to this. And now, I mean, that...
Well, it helps them, foreshadow things. 100%. Because when they're in practice on Tuesday and they're messing around, they're not thinking about the consequences on Sunday when they have to actually wrestle and go against some stud. So, when you're talking to them, I'm trying to help them think ahead. What you do today affects you tomorrow.
That's deep.
If you quit, if you just decide not to show up to work on Monday, do you think you're gonna have a job the next week?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's deep.
So I'm like, same thing in practice.
It's deep.
If you show up and you just half-ass all this, you're gonna fail. You don't just decide the world doesn't revolve around you. The world will eat you up and spit you out. But you gotta show up. You have to. You have to have some responsibility. Even just opening doors and shaking hands, for people that are older than you. Have respect for people around you. Because a lot of kids don't, bro. I've seen some kids that are brats. They'll lose a match, throw a fit, throw their headgear. Dude, I never get mad as a coach, but when my kid throws a fit and slams his headgear on the ground, I tell their parents, I'm going to talk to him behind the bleachers right now. And I will straight up go eye to eye with him and say, if you do that ever again, I'll kick you off the team.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And that's real life.
And they're just I'm control your emotions.
Yeah.
What are you going to do when you're at work and you're having a hard day? You're going to start crying and quit and just throw your computer on the floor?
Stuff. Yeah.
It's no. Kid, yeah. It's a hard thing to swallow at 8 years old, but someone's going to have to teach you eventually. Yeah.
And that's the thing, though. It's not outside looking in or future looking into the past. You don't really think of it like that then. But then you see it now. And you see the benefits it had. The benefits it had to make you an adult, right? Yeah. To make you a man, to want to pursue better things, or do better for yourself, or do better for your family, sports like that, and we talked about the team sport thing. I didn't really care for team sports.
Yeah.
Because
except baseball. Baseball was fun.
Baseball was fun.
Football.
And it was fun, but a lot of the time I'm like, why am I working so hard? And they're not, and it's the same outcome.
Yeah, that is actually true.
And it sucks. It bums you out because it makes you think, well, it doesn't matter how hard anyone works.
Right.
it's the same outcome for everyone, right? And it bums you out. But a sport like wrestling or a sport like, you know, those one-on-ones, it's very eye-opening. Even as a kid, you quickly understand. Sometimes life's not easy. Sometimes life's hard, and like that might be the hardest thing you're going through is losing a match in wrestling, right?
Dude, but still to this day, like I'll have a hard day at work, and then I think back and I'm like, was it as hard as like those wrestling practices where it was 110 degrees and I was cutting 15 pounds? No. I'm good, dude.
I'm good.
I could go get like a lunch break right now and no one would even care.
Yeah.
Like, is life that hard?
Yeah. No, not even close.
So like you guys, you got to remind yourself, like it could be a lot harder than you think.
And that's the thing, is like, and that's what I was going to ask. So I know your job's mentally hard too. And times, you know, the time you put in is hard. What keeps you motivated to like get up on time, right? Like when you wake up and like, because everyone has those days where like, dude, I do not feel like going to work today.
Yeah.
And it whatever that feeling is, whatever the reason is, everyone has those days where like you don't want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And most people would say that's depression or whatever. Like you just don't want to do anything. But some days it's just like you don't want to do anything. You don't want to talk to anyone. You just want to keep to yourself. If you go to work, you just want to do your job and get out of there, get in and get out.
Right.
And for me, it's the same thing. I really don't see any of my coworkers. I don't see my bosses. It's usually me by myself with customers.
Right.
And I like it that way because sometimes I don't want to talk to anyone else, but I might make someone's day.
Mm-hmm.
And what keeps you like? Because recently I learned a little trick. My alarm clock now, before it being like an alarm, right? Something that would like scare you up.
Life sucks.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
Like,
Yeah, and then you're like, I don't want to get up today because I know it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Right. So I figured out. I mean, we have smartphones. We have all this technology at our fingertips, right? So I figured out with my phone, I can put on a specific song or like a radio channel. If I keep my data on through the night, it'll wake me up to this specific, because I pay for like YouTube Plus or whatever. I could like listen to songs on YouTube and whatever.
Right.
Because I don't have an iPhone.
It's like a Spotify type deal.
Yeah, and I pay for YouTube so I can listen to music or whatever.
Against the grain custom on YouTube.
Well, but and I listened for a while there. I was listening. I was, and this may or may not be like some people's cup of tea, but I was being woken up to Megadeth.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, but like, but it would like, because I really enjoy it, and then I got
because you wake up like in a groove, like I like this song.
And then you dig in, and then for Megadeth, for me, like, I don't know how much you watch of like the Joe Rogan stuff.
I've pretty much watched everything since 2000.
2000.
So what got you want to know what got me into Joe Rogan? Like I could remember the specific thing because I've always heard of it and like whatever, but it was 2013. And he had Kid Cudi on. I'm a diehard Kid Cudi fan. Oh, yeah. So anything Kid Cudi had on the internet, I was always all about it. He did TED Talks.
Yeah.
And then he had Kid Cudi on as a guest. And it was like the sickest thing ever, dude.
I've never seen that.
He talked about his drug. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just full depth, 2-hour conversation. I learned more about Kid Cudi than I ever have.
Yeah.
But Joe Rogan was leading the conversation. I was like, this is sick.
Yeah.
And then, like, the next episode, he had, like, some WrestleMania guy on, and I'm like, this is dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've like, Joe Rogan has paved the way for me as far as making me realize what I could do with this podcast thing and how simple it actually could be.
Dude, and 100%. But like for me, like I don't know if you know much like the lore of like Metallica and Megadeth. I don't know if you watched that one with Dave Mustaine.
Mm-mm. What is it? A show?
That was on Joe Rogan.
A documentary?
So when I was
which one's that guy?
Dave Mustaine's from Megadeth, but he's the founder of Megadeth, but he was originally in Metallica.
Okay.
Founding member of Metallica. So Mom's favorite band is Metallica.
Is he the drummer?
No, guitar player.
Okay.
So Mom's favorite band is Metallica. So me and
shout out Auntie Di.
Yeah, she's
that's
a rocker.
Good band,
she's a rocker.
That's one of my goals is to see Metallica at least once.
Dude, and from what I've seen, they still kill. Unlike Motley Crue.
Damn.
You bummed me out, dude. But I won't get into that. But yeah, so he, on sad terms, left the band. A founding member of Metallica, started Megadeth. People hated on him, right? You know, there's both sides to every story, right? But this dude, and me and Tom, when we were younger, we watched documentaries and we had videos of him and why he left and how he left Metallica.
You knew everything.
And we pretty much knew everything. But then he comes on Joe Rogan recently. And I'm like, dude, Dave Mustaine on Joe Rogan, like, you gotta listen to this. You mean? And I knew, like,
Joe will ask the questions that everyone wants.
Yeah, and I thought I knew the entire
Unless
story.
It's Mark Zuckerberg. I'm just kidding.
That's a bummer. But anyways, I thought I knew everything, right? But dude, so much more. And
did it make you more a fan of him? Or
oh yeah, 100% more fan of Megadeth.
And less fan of Metallica?
No. I still like.
But
Metallica.
you will more understand him and why he did it, and it wasn't like selfish intentions.
100%, and you realize why, and you realize everything, and the questions he got asked, and the way he answered. Very humble dude. And then if you think you hear the name Megadeth, right? You assume that it's far from like a religious.
You think
band.
of death and how much it sucks, and then you think Megadeth.
Megadeth, right?
What is
that? But then like you
I like Megadeth a lot.
You gotta listen to this, the podcast, because he talks about song names and why he chose this name and the backstory. Like the way he writes music, nuts. I've never heard anyone write music like this. Anyone. Wow. And I watched a lot of music documentaries because I'm into music, right? I've watched a lot of music documentaries. I've never heard of anyone writing music like this dude. And it's wild. Because he's like, oh yeah, this song was about the end times. Look at Revelation. Listen to this song.
Whoa.
And you're like, oh shoot.
Full backstories.
And
then you listen to the song again and you're like, this is...
Mind blown. Because for me, growing up in the church and then hearing like, you know, Metallica and then hearing a Megadeth song, and you're like, this almost sounds biblical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's weird, but there's no way.
And the spirits kill the humans.
Dude, so yeah.
Rot in hell.
Dude, so you never
He's also singing Revelations and everything.
Yeah, and you never think, because a band like Megadeth.
Yeah. That's a cool name, by the way.
And 100%. And you never think, like, this guy has to, like, he's either, like,
anything
so
mega
far,
is pretty dope.
So far from religion, or, like, really deep into it.
Yeah.
Someone will write this song.
Right.
Or name it that. Because you have to be so intelligent to write a song like that or do something like that.
Right.
And this dude does so much research on his song titles and the way he writes his songs. It's insane. And he even said on that podcast, he goes, I want people to, like, look into what I'm singing about. And that's, like, his hook, right?
That's cool.
And I'm like, dude, that's nuts. And so I knew everything about the bands and, you know, the whole backstory. And then I heard this, and I was like, dude. So I started getting woken up to Megadeth because I'm like, dude, it motivated me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like a little boost.
Well, you just
of like someone like this.
Is that what you wake up to every morning?
So I've changed it since. Now I wake up to Dirty Heads. I always change it because after a while, like, you don't want to be woken up to Megadeth. It gets, you know, not that it gets old.
It gets mega depressing.
Yeah, you know, you want to change it up. You want something new. So for a few weeks, I was getting woken up to a Megadeth mix or whatever it was, and then now it's a specific Dirty Head song that's the only one I have.
Can you sing it?
It's that Celebration song.
Celebrate.
No. It's
Can I ask you a question?
What?
Unless you want to sing it, are you gonna really sing it?
I'm trying to think of the first line.
You wake up to it every day.
Yeah, but we didn't wake up.
You missed the first 5 words.
It's like, Mama think I'm here, I finally made it. 20,000 fans. You know what I mean? He's talking about like the come up of the band.
Okay. What's the name of the song?
I think it's Celebration.
Okay, look it up.
I'm pretty sure it's Celebration.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
What's your favorite band?
Favorite band?
Like if they said, Tim, you're allowed to see one last concert.
Goodness.
You know, to just go out to. You're going to die tomorrow. You're going to rage. What's the concert you want to see? Who's the best band?
Last Day's concert. I mean, playing music, it's pretty. That's a hard question. But I think it was like my last days. It almost brings tears to my eyes, right? You asked like a brilliant question. And I don't know if many musicians would have the same reaction but it kind of gets me emotional. Because I always think of like people like even actors I want to meet or comedians. I'm like, dude, I wish I was famous so I could talk to this person, right? Because they're like heroes, right?
Yes.
But I think a show I would pay an absurd amount of money to see would be David Gilmour from Pink Floyd. And that's probably not many people's like they wouldn't go there, right?
So Pink Floyd,
even David Gilmour. I would love to see Pink Floyd. Everyone Pink Floyd, right? But
who's your favorite band, Tim? I know you've always like who's a band that you've always like. I know we all have our favorite songs and stuff, but like I know you have a favorite band.
Do you know my answer?
I don't know.
Do you think you know my answer? Is it an old band?
Yeah.
How old?
I don't know.
Like our parents' age?
Yeah, like 80s for sure. Like early 80s.
If not earlier?
Like early 80s, late 70s maybe. That was a good era of music. I think any band from that time is probably worthy.
You thinking the Eagles?
The Eagles is...
Is that what you're thinking?
I was thinking Uncle Marty. Because Uncle Marty's era was like that time. And I think of like the Eagles and all those songs.
So I
the
saw
Eagles is a good... What?
I saw the original Eagles.
Wow.
It's wild.
Was it like... Did it change your...
No.
Did you like them even more after that?
Oh, yeah. But I was so young. I don't even think I was in my first band yet. That was because of Uncle Frank.
Yeah. He's the one who got you into music.
He's the one who got me into music.
He took you to an Eagles concert?
Yeah. So I was young. And I remember it was Father's Day. And our family, Grandma and Grandpa, Uncle Frank and Auntie Edna, we all met at Ribs in Los Lunas. And he knew I was kind of into music, so he was asking me questions. Who's your favorite band?
And just seeing if you're interested.
Just seeing stuff. So
what you know.
And so I knew I got the bands mixed up because this is how young I was. I knew Uncle Frank loved the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
That is his favorite band. I knew he loved Pink Floyd, the Beatles, the Eagles, but he loved the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got confused with the Beatles and the Beach Boys. That's how dumb I was, right?
It sounds kind of close, though.
Okay.
I can't get mad at you for that.
So he asked me, who's your favorite band? Because I wanted to make him proud, I said, the Beach Boys. And he goes, they're good. And I was like, and right away I was like...
You didn't want to, like, crush your dreams?
Yeah, I was like, shit. I knew it was the Beatles, dude. I messed up. I was the wrong answer. I knew what he wanted to hear. Or what I thought he wanted to hear was the Beatles. Like, dude, the Beatles,
and he was
right?
gonna be like, yes.
I was all, the Beach Boys. And he's all, yeah. They're good. And to this day, I never told him, we never talked about it. But I was like, dude, that's such a bummer. I blew it. I blew that question.
And you knew it was actually the one that he liked.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, he loves the Beatles, not the Beach Boys. What were you thinking, dude? And so the conversation goes on. And he goes, do you like the Eagles? I was like, yeah. And I knew the Eagles. I was in music all the time. I was like, dude, I love the Eagles. And he goes, oh, yeah, we small talk the Eagles. And then one day, he calls Mom. Because I was young. I wasn't driving. I was too young. And he calls Mom. Hey, bring Tim over. I got a present for him. So, okay. So, Mom takes me over to his house. And he hands me an envelope. And I was like, oh, what's this? He goes, it's a gift. And I was like, Uncle. And he's like, nope. It's a gift from me to you.
Did you kind of expect what it was, or was it totally shocked?
No, I had no idea. Then I wasn't on the internet. Probably didn't have access to the internet. I didn't know what bands were in town or anything. He did, and I opened the envelope, and it's a ticket to the Eagles. I couldn't tell you the opening bands. I don't even know if they had an opening band. And yeah, the Eagles. And
was that the first concert you ever went to?
No, I probably went to like some small Christian-based concerts before that.
POD.
Yeah, so who knows what it was? Pillar, which Pillar they put on a killer show. They're still one of my favorite bands. But
I still love POD, by the way.
They're killer.
I love POD.
Like good people too.
They did the Matrix soundtrack, bro.
And so I go, and I'm staying with my cousin Sean, and we're like we're pretty close to the stage. Like, we're not far.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the grass for
Right.
sure. And then Uncle and Auntie are like right before the pit, right? And so my cousin had to leave for work. It was the nighttime. So he goes, I'm going to take you up to Uncle and Auntie, and you're going to sit with them for the rest of the show.
Sick.
And I was like, okay. And so I remember he almost gets in a fight with this guy.
Oh,
So Sean's like 6 foot something. This
big
guy's
old dude.
huge. Okay. And he's acted in plays and all that stuff. He's so big, he played the Scorpion King in plays. Like, he's a big dude.
That's dope.
And I remember this little guy, dude, stands up to him, and he's staring up at him. And I was like, what the heck's going on with this guy? Well, you know? And he goes, I'm trying to get my little cousin and my parents, like, make some room for him to go through. I was a little kid. And this guy starts a fight with him.
Oh, man.
And I was like, dude, is this guy serious right now? It was all alcohol, right?
Mm.
So finally he leaves. He's like, dude, I'm sorry. You know, go with Uncle. And I remember, like, these people were like, you know, we got you. And
Like slide through a crowd.
They let me through, like, the upper row. And they put me in the seat in front of them. Like, you can sit here.
Right.
And so I was sitting with Uncle and Auntie, and it was like from here.
Bird's eye view.
From here to the wall, dude.
Wow.
Close. And I remember, and I wish I remembered more, because as a drummer, you want to watch John Henley, right? John Henley's one of the lead singers. He's also the drummer.
Mm.
Insane. That's insane talent to be able to sing like that and play drums. It's nuts to see it. To see it, it's nuts.
That's a lot of energy.
And it's talent. It's so hard to play and sing drums. But the thing I remember the most was Joe Walsh. Because he was such a character. Even to this day as an old man, he's a character, dude. He's nuts.
He demands presence.
And he just like, you just like, dude, you want to watch him. And he's just a nut. Even then, he was an older man. And he was still a nut on stage. And he just put on a show. And you were so attracted to him that you just couldn't take your eyes off him. I remember they played songs of his before the Eagles. It was Joe Walsh or his, one of his bands before, and they played those songs too. And I was like enamored by Joe Walsh, even though I didn't want to play guitar. I want to play drums. I should have been watching Don Henley, and I should have soaked up more of that.
But it was just right there
but
in
it
front
was
of you.
Joe Walsh. I'm like, dude, this guy's wild. Like, I've never seen him like
He
this.
probably sounded so clean.
And oh, dude, and I still to this day I've never seen anything like that. Never heard anything like that. And we were on tour. We tried to go see him.
So tonight you would watch them, choose them over everyone.
Yeah, dude. The original Eagles. The original Eagles. How I saw.
That's a good choice, by the way.
Just as
I would say that's a really good. Out of all the bands, that's a. I have no argument with that.
And GB was kind of like bummed because when we first started playing music, we started to like get into like that country rock thing, and we're like, that's not a genre. Like country rock, who plays country rock? And then Uncle Frank was like, dude, the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
That's country rock.
Yeah.
Like at its core, that's country rock. And you're like, oh, dude, that's right. Like we listened to it so much when we were little. That's kind of what we were attracted to. And but yeah, I think if it wasn't David Gilmour by himself or Pink Floyd, it would be the original Eagles. How I saw them when I was young. But be able to remember every little thing about it.
Yeah, that's a good answer, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know. I was just curious because
I feel like I know yours.
It's a hard question. What?
I feel like I know yours. And
really?
Yours is still attainable.
Yeah, you already know. I've always said it.
What is it?
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, as you still can.
I'm so fascinated by their ability to adapt and still stay relevant from the 80s all the way to 2022, still putting out double albums that sound good.
What was that last single they put out? And it's probably been a while. They probably released.
No, they just put out one yesterday.
But what was the one on the last album? Dark Necessities.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, so I'm saying that I know they put out more since then, but that one was like a new sound.
Yeah,
a new people in the band.
The reason
they still got it even with they got that one guy's different, right? The guitar player is different.
No, they have the whole band back together now. They have John Frusciante back in the band.
But then
then they had another guitarist,
a young guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to see them live in at Ohana Fest.
The last time you guys went to Hawaii?
No.
Where's Ohana Fest?
It was in California.
What was this?
It was the only North American concert that they did that year. Everywhere else was out of country. They played one show in the United States.
So you saw your top list band.
And it was their last show of the whole tour. And it was just the most... And I was with... Out of all people, out of all the concerts, festivals I've been to with all my friends, guess who was with me on this one?
Your dad.
My brother.
Dude.
Luke. Me and Luke. Just me and Luke. I was out there... And Luke's already kind of living in Hollywood. I got us a hotel room. And, dude, watching...
Where did they play?
Huh?
Hollywood Bowl?
It was right off the shore. It was like a venue that was on the beach. Like, so I'm watching the sunset, palm trees, Red Hot Chili Peppers just shredding.
It's a dream.
And I'm with my brother, dude. And he's like, doesn't even go to concerts. And he's like having the best time ever. I was like, this is like... I really soaked in that moment.
Heck yeah.
And, just seeing Flea
live.
live.
A memory you guys will never forget.
And, like, we got close. Like, we weren't here to this wall, but we were here to, like... We were maybe 20 feet away from them, man. And I was just like, this is one of those moments I cannot... And now that we're talking about them, I actually... And Kiana, if you're listening to this, at the end of the month, I think I'm going to go see them again in October. They're playing at Austin City Limits. They're headlining.
Go.
In Austin.
Do it.
B-Rad and them are all going. But yeah, man, I don't know. I think I've always liked them. I grew up loving them. You know, everyone knows their songs, right? Under the Bridge and all that. But you know how you said that you watched that podcast with Joe Rogan and the lead singer Megadeth, and it just made you appreciate them so much more. So Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, wrote a book, a biography, and it's called Scar Tissue.
It's a crazy life.
So when I was 18, 19, 20, whatever age, I was taking the train to work every day. And the girl that I was dating at the time had it. And she's like she appreciated them too. And she had already read it. And so she gave it to me. And like that was one of the books that I literally just read all the way through. And like was just consumed, dude. And it was written by his own words. And you're just hearing the birth of the songs that they've written. Scar Tissue was made, or Under the Bridge. Like, that's a real story of Anthony Kiedis shooting heroin under the bridge when he was in rock bottom. You know what I mean?
Rough life.
It's like all these crazy stories. The way him and Flea met, they fought each other. And then they both took acid and went and had dinner at each other's houses while they were tripping. Like, just crazy, like, rock star, legendary stories. Like, you know, Anthony Kiedis' dad was kind of like a well-known figure in Hollywood. He was a famous... He was like not a big time rock star, but he was famous enough to know all the famous people. And he would take Anthony Kiedis with him to party with Cher. And Anthony Kiedis, like it's not said, it's kind of untold, but like he like lost his virginity to like Cher. Like at like 15 or something crazy. Like he like subtly mentions it. Like I don't know, this is allegedly. But like I'm just using that as an example for like how rock star of a life this guy lived.
Yeah, all the way through.
You know what I mean? And like him and Flea... Like, they've literally been best friends since, like, high school, bro. Like, 16 years old. And Flea was the musician. Flea was the one who was naturally talented, who could just shred. And Flea was, like, how you were, and Anthony Kiedis was how I was, not really musically talented. But you know how you guys would have rock practice, like, band practice? And Anthony Kiedis was just there to, like, hang out. And one of the times, the lead singer just didn't show up for the gig. And Anthony Kiedis was like, screw it, I'm just going to go.
Well... I'll do it.
And he just went, dude, and shredded. And they had, like, the best show ever. And they're like, dude, do you want to just be our singer from here on out? And it's just, like, wild, you know? Like, and then you just to see them now in real time and then knowing where they came from makes you appreciate it so much more, you know?
Well, dude, you hear of a lot of bands that happen like that. Like, I don't know if you watched, what is it? Queen's movie.
Oh, yeah.
When he's like,
Freddie Mercury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can sing. I'll take over.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, right, dude.
Right?
And he sings that part of their song, and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then...
That's why it's crazy
forward.
Because you don't realize that these moments could be right in front of you every day in your life. And if you don't take that opportunity to jump or walk through that door that's open, you might miss that opportunity and you'll never get it again.
Yeah.
Like
it's like what... I could be wrong. I don't want to get hated on for this. But I think it's Andy from The Office.
Wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
Wrong. No, he goes, I wish you knew when the good times were when you were living in the good times. You knew when they were.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, that's deep stuff. You know,
right.
It's such a simple statement, but you're like, dude, I wish this was the good times, because then you would just try and slow down time as much as possible. And soak up every little bit of it. Which I feel like since I've gotten older, it's easier.
Yeah.
When you're young, the good times, they're gone.
They're quick. They happen and then they're gone.
Then you're like, oh, yeah, I do remember that. But as I've gotten older, like my good times, like I can laugh and joke about how stupid and a lot of stupid stuff I've done in life that I'm like, dude, I'm glad I'm alive, you know?
Yeah.
But now, I'm like, dude, like my good times are like today. Oliver comes out of the bathroom. Dad, I peed. And he's naked. I'm like, good job, son.
Sick.
I'm like, let's go check it. And his underwear is soaking wet. I was like, son, you got to pull it out before you start to pee. And he looks at me and I go, did you hear what I said? I heard what you said, he tells me. I heard what you said. Okay, so pull it out before you start to pee so you can pee in the toilet. Okay. And then he goes, washes his hands. I put new underwear on him. And I'm like, dude.
That's a big moment.
And yeah, and I was so nervous for potty training and all this stuff. But he's just like, Dad, I did it.
And then you got to reward him. Like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, all right, that's great. But put your wiener away. You know what I mean? Like, there's girls here, dude. Come on. Like,
he's like, but I did it.
Yeah, he's like, but
I'll do it again.
Yeah, you want to show you? And I'm like, all right, let's put underwear on. And that's what's funny is, I was like, oh, well, let's put some pants on. So I put his underwear on him. And I was like, let me find you some shorts you could put on. He goes, Dad. And he looks at me. And I was like, yeah. He goes, my friends outside. I said, yes, son. Your friends are outside, but they're girls. And they don't want to see you in just your underwear. You have to wear clothes around your lady friends. He's like, but I'm in my house. Mm-hmm. Why do I have to wear shorts? I'm in my underwear. I'm good. I'm covered. And
but just teaching him little tiny things of just how to like be just, operate in society. Like, hey, bro, I wish I could just wear underwear every day too. But
I wish I could be naked, but I'd be so ashamed that it wouldn't even matter.
They'd be like, what is that little thing, bro?
Dude, what is that?
Time to put on the green glasses, bro.
You think so? Is that time? I don't know what time it is.
It's getting bright in here. Just kidding.
What is it, 12:40?
It's been... So, I put on these glasses, and you guys can see there's a bunch of these crazy, over-the-top, white sunglasses. And I know we kind of mentioned it like in the podcast, but I have a podcast as well on YouTube. It's called Against the Grain Custom specifically. And part of our brand is like just wearing these wacky white sunglasses. And the whole point of it is like I realize how ridiculous and stupid these glasses are, right? Like they're over the top, right? Like it's like white glasses. Look at Tim's. Like
I feel like
let's see which ones we got on deck. So we got Tim's.
I feel like these are perfect.
We got the Lokes.
I would wear these cause this gives you like a.
This is my new favorite, the Sendo Vision. We got the Sendo Vision.
Like Cyclops right there, dude.
So whenever I have guests on my podcasts, we always start the episode wearing these. And Tim's been on the podcast. You guys can check it out. We just kind of let our guests choose whatever glasses they want. Those are actually pretty sick. Those are the newest ones. And the whole point of it is like to not take yourself so seriously. You know what I mean? Like we acknowledge how funny and goofy we are, but like that's kind of like our brand is like being different. When you think of going against the grain, it's like when everyone's going one way, you got to stop and question, why are they all doing this? I should make my own path in life.
You want my first against the grain story?
What?
You ready for this?
Sure.
You were in my life. I doubt you know this story. Okay. Are you gonna do the switcheroo or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna try these ones out too. I just got these ones today.
I like these ones too good to switch them because one eye's together. But I was dating this girl. Freshman year.
Uh-oh. We're going that far back?
We're going far back, dude.
Okay.
Freshman year. I was dating this girl. we grew up in a time where you were one person or the other, right? So there was two people that were cool in high school. You were either really cool and you wore the tightest pants that you could find on the girl's shelf.
Oh, yeah.
Or you were a complete stud and you were a badass, right? That was my high school. That was my short high school experience. I didn't stay in high school long enough to experience the rest of it. But in my experience, half of freshman year, you were either a stud or the guy that was like, dude, what the heck are you thinking?
Right.
Okay. So I was dating this girl, and we were raised the same way. Horses, getting up early, staying up late, watering the fields, watering the trees,
typical,
feeding the horses.
Right.
Typical country boy stuff, right? We were raised the exact same way.
Right.
We went a little different.
Shout out to the Griegos.
That's the truth, dude. And I went one way, you went the other. You went stud, and I went tightest pants I could find. And so I was dating this girl who was a cowgirl.
Oh.
I won't say any names. I'm sure I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
But I was dating. I don't know if I was dating. We were talking. It was freshman year. You don't know if you're really dating anyone then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
dating someone was like holding hands in between classes.
Yeah, and I didn't even do that. I don't even remember. I don't even think I kissed her. Okay, but she was a cowgirl. That's how I was raised. I was attracted to cowgirls. I knew the people. That's what I did every day.
Yeah.
I was attracted to the people that I did every day. I just dressed differently.
Right.
So I remember going, and I had the tightest girl pants that mom would allow me to buy, right?
Right, I remember that.
Because they were even like, Tim, why do you want to wear those? And I'm like, because this is what I want. And they're like, all right, you learn your own lessons in life, right? So I wore the tightest pants to high school one day.
They're like, if you want to choke that snake out.
Yeah, dude. And so I went to at lunch, I went to go visit my little girlfriend, and I went up to that cowboy table, and all of these guys were looking at me like I was nuts. What are you doing here? Who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you here like that, dressed like that? And
Who's the skater kid?
Who's the skater kid at the cowboy table? And my little girlfriend came up and, put her arm around me and put my arm around her, and they were like, what the heck's going on here?
Hey, but you did your own thing.
That was against the grain.
Yeah, that is against the grain.
And it's funny is I even talk to like friends' parents now. And every now and then I'll pull out those bad boys. Dude, I still got some tight pants.
Damn.
And they're like, dude, you're still wearing them tight pants. I'm like, dude, I'm still wearing these tight pants. Dude. And, I mean, even my shorts, look how short they are.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care. Look at it. I still got plenty of thigh on here.
Plenty of thigh. You can see a little.
Yeah, depending on how close you want to zoom in, you know what I mean? But against the grain's been a.
What about the SpongeBob socks, bro?
Spongies.
That is against the grain, though, Tim.
It's against the grain. Yeah. And I feel like that's my biggest relation to the Against the Grain podcast.
Well, Tim.
Because you talk about all these. I mean, you've had a lot of cool people on who've done a lot of cool things. Am I like that? Am I cool enough to be like against the grain? Because that's a total mentality thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to.
It's like a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, with tattoos, my nose pierced, and I still wear tight pants, and I'm like, I was like, I've been against the grain as long as you've been against the grain, and it's cool to see people not change.
For sure, Tim. You've always done your own thing, and I've never seen you been influenced by other people around you. You're always the one that's doing your own thing, and other people follow. And that's like our biggest thing that we stand for, man. And that's why I hold you so closest to me, bro, because I want people around me that are against the grain, that aren't like, that think differently. It's a way of thinking for yourself. It's so easy to be influenced by everyone around you in today's world, especially with social media and all these things, But like being against the grain, I mean, you're wearing the shirt, like shout out to, that's so cool that you're doing that, wearing our merch. But Tim, you've always been a leader, and that's something that's super rare in today's society. It's rare to see people and that are leaders and not followers, And even if it means you doing something goofy and wearing white sunglasses, hey man, you're carving your own lane. You're doing your own thing. You said you're wearing short shorts. You got these random tattoos.
Feels good.
You got the crazy, what is it called? Septum. But like, I've never seen you follow people, Tim. You're always doing your own thing. And I respect that, man. And I'll always respect you for that. And I look up to you in that way because, I don't want to be a follower. I've always told myself that. It's hard because I'm so like that like I automatically just do the opposite of what the crowd's doing. And sometimes that's not always a good thing. But that's just how my mind operates. Like, I don't want to be like everyone else. Like, I want to be my own person. And so, like, just hanging around you and stuff like that kind of, like, brings me back to that. So, thank you for that, man.
I always want to be a stud, and you always want to be a French Jimmy, dude.
So it's all about grain Jimmy, bro. I'll be grain Jimmy.
Yeah. But with that being said, this is like my thing. I feel like I want this to be my niche of the podcast. Okay. Right? So I talked to Dad about it. Talked to Spanish Jimmy about it. What advice would you give your boy on? And I'll relate this to the Against the Grain stuff because I want to relate it to whatever guest I have on. What advice would you give your boy
or girl?
Good call.
Because I feel like I'm going to have all girls.
Good call. I can see that, yeah. What advice would you give them to... Because our parents weren't dream chasers.
Right.
What advice would you give your boy or girl to stay against the grain? Be humble, but stay against the grain. What advice would you give them to, like, stay on that path of being okay with either being made fun of or not being in the cool crowd?
Right.
Whatever it is, against the grain. Being against the grain is a very simple mindset, right?
It speaks for itself.
It's just being who you are,
right,
and not conforming. And this is not like a radical mindset, right? Against the grain is not a radical mindset where you're because back in the day, I feel like being against the grain was like the anarchy party,
right,
crazy people,
Limp Bizkit crowd,
right? That wild stuff. But like now, being older, against the grain for us is like, dude, just sticking true to how we were raised, what we were taught.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give your next generation to stick against the grain?
So, first thing that I would remind them is that what you have inside your heart and who you are as an individual, no one else has. Not one other person in this world has what you have. So why give it away and try and be like everyone else when you can be your own person and you can make other people want to be like you? That doesn't mean that you can't be so against the grain to where you can't look up to other people and learn from other people. You can still get stuff out of life by learning from other individuals, but also don't ever forget who you are on the inside. And don't ever forget where you came from. Because people who forget where they came from, or people who act like they're too good for who they grew up around, those are the people that, they get lost in life. They're not grounded. So number one thing for you to do is to stay grounded in who you are and know what you want in life. And don't let anyone talk you out of what you want to do. I don't care if they call you stupid, silly, funny. Why would you even do that? You know in your heart, no one else has done it before you, so you should do it and be that person. Be the spearhead that the world needs. Because you don't know what outcome you could get out of it. And that's what I'll say.
It's deep.
Yeah, man.
It's as deep as it gets. There it is.
So bad, guys.
Episode number 3.
Yeah. Hey, thank you, Timmy.
Joshua Cruz.
Happy
Griego.
It's been a pleasure, man. Love you.
Episode number 3.
Oh, yeah. And OnlyFans coming soon, baby. Woo!